Got a good crowd? Got a good crowd? Good morning, all, and welcome to the regular meeting of the Board of Directors of the Golden Rain Foundation of Laguna Woods, a California nonprofit mutual benefit corporation. Today is Tuesday, July 2nd, 2024. Show the time at 9:32, and the meeting is called to order. We'll have the Pledge of Allegiance led by Director Milliman.
Please stand. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. I guess we are online, and therefore I'm going to acknowledge the fact that we're available to the media. And I'll entertain motions for approval of the agenda, or are there any changes? It's moved in second?
No, changes.
Oh, changes, okay. But let's hear the changes.
All right, I would like to ask that 10C be moved down to new business, which would make it 12E.
Right.
And Joan?
And I'd like to ask that 10B also be moved down to 12 and put it on to 12D, 12 whatever. Unfinished business.
Couldn't it be under
I'm sorry, it should be
11A?
under unfinished business, right?
We already have the...
I'm sorry, can you repeat that again?
So B and C
Can you-
on the consent calendar go under unfinished business for C and D.
Well, C is new business because
You're right,
it's new.
unfinished, I'm sorry. New
Okay.
business, so E and F.
Okay, are those the only changes?
Yes.
So,
Okay.
vote.
I'll entertain a motion for approval of the agenda with changes. Okay. Moved, second. Okay. Any objections? Motion carries. Okay. Are there any changes to the minutes of June 4th and June 20th? Hearing none, those minutes are approved. We'll move on to the report or remarks from the chair. And I do have some remarks regarding the recall. Okay. As you may know, okay, I, along with Yvonne Horton, am the subject of a recall vote without cause, initiated by the third board leadership and supported by the majority of that board. It's been 30 days, and yet there's been no reason stated. The residents, you and I, deserve better and deserve to know the reasons. Since it is without cause, and I have been a significant contributor to the current process improvements, organizational integrity, and financial strength of the Golden Rain Foundation, I can only speculate as to why. This is the third time in 9 months that I have been the subject of a recall. The first two recall attempts, initiated by United and Third Board presidents, failed because the presidents did not know the rules, and thus the recall effort was muted and thwarted. Most of you didn't know that. At that time, Bunny Carpenter, then GRF president, was the other subject of the recall. Those who know Bunny's contribution to the structural and procedural integrity of GRF and Laguna Woods governance were shocked. A few years after the transition from PCM, the previous property management company, to VMS, her steady guidance was a valuable resource to this community. Now, Yvonne Horton the subject of this recall, is also a longtime steady contributor to governance and community activities. With a strong background in corporate executive leadership, she is also former owner of a construction company. She currently serves as chairs of the GRF Community Activities and Maintenance and Construction Committees, as well as a member of the Space Planning Committee, three of the most important committees in the village at the moment. These recalls are but symptoms of a larger issue impacting the village. More than 60 years ago, the developer, Ross Cortese, envisioned affordable, resort-style living for seniors and built 4 communities to execute his visions: Leisure World Seal Beach, Rossmoor Leisure World in Walnut Creek, Leisure World Maryland in Silver Spring, and Leisure World of Laguna Woods, now called Laguna Woods Village. He set up a governance structure via a trust. In each instance, the trustee, named Golden Ring Foundation in each instance, was given responsibility to develop, manage central services, amenities, and maintain common properties not belonging to the housing mutuals. To provide those mutuals with the resource to discharge the HOA responsibilities, the trust states that GRF may hire a professional management company to manage these responsibilities. Understanding the need to have business-minded individuals on the GRF board, the first board was comprised of business professionals. With Laguna Woods, the initial GRF board was not all residents. All the communities, those 4 that I named, had similar governance structures, but quite different mutual representation at GRF, and perhaps more importantly, different representation at corporate member meetings. For instance, Silver Spring had 29 mutuals with 5,600 homes. I'm sorry, Silver Spring had 29 mutuals with 5,600 homes. Seal Beach, 16 mutuals with 6,600 homes. Walnut Creek has 23 mutuals with 6,700 homes. And Laguna Woods has 3 mutuals with 12,736 homes. Okay? So what does that mean? The village is twice the size of similar developments, but with each resident having less voting representation at corporate member meetings when compared to the other leisure worlds. You do not have the GRS versus mutual turf issues at other locations that you see at this village. The votes here are concentrated onto 2 boards, 11 members each and 5 on the other. I dare say that many, or perhaps most residents, are not familiar with corporate member meetings or how important they can be. Most corporate member meetings involve routine voting matters like GRF board selections. These are open meetings, but very poorly attended by residents. More importantly, at the GRF corporate members meetings where strategic issues are decided, it is important to have a wider range of representation to allow more discussion and less block voting by the mutuals. The unusual mix of 2 large mutuals and poorly attended corporate meetings at the village is unique and leads to block voting, as I mentioned. And that can run counter to good decision-making process that does not involve resident input. It makes it more important that each member of a board of a board vote based on his or her own individual analysis and conclusions. The recall will be voted at a corporate member meeting, and perhaps space planning decisions will require a corporate member meeting also. And that brings me to what I believe is the reason for the recall. Remember, I'm only allowed to speculate. Both recall requests came at a point where GRF advanced the space planning issue to involve more public input. The initial ad hoc committee was closed in order to bring creativity to the process and perhaps bring outside parties to help with analysis and decision-making. The United Board President was a member of that committee. The process quickly deteriorated when the United Board advocates of a preconceived solution continued to disrupt the meetings. and the business decision process. At that point, as chair of that committee, I moved to an open committee meeting format and called for public input. Perhaps coincidentally, or not, this is when the first 2 recalls appeared by the third and United Board leadership. Remember, it was United and third president that initiated the recall. By the way, it only takes 2 members, and I won't get into all the details of that, but it takes 2 board members to initiate a recall. It was never meant to bring it down to 2 with the initial law. It was 5% of the community, which in this case would be, 300, 600 people. But the way we're structured, it boils down to essentially 2 board members. During the course of the open meetings, which the space planning meetings I'll get back to, during the course of the open space planning meetings, a pre-orchestrated motion by the United Board president to designate Nancy Carlson and Andy Ginocchio as planners for the committee. It was passed, and all of the big block mutuals members voted in favor of it. So it was pre-orchestrated. I let the committee know at that time that while any group of members may pool their efforts to present a solution, Robert's rules did not allow a committee to change its rules and mission as defined by the superior body, in this case, the GRF board. Regardless, Andy and Nancy continued to define their role to the residents as somehow representing the work of the space planning committee itself. As the discussions became under more scrutiny by the residents, and there was expressed public sentiment that did not seem to favor the planner's proposal, the third board recall without cause was advanced, apparently in secret by the third board. The majority vote came at the third board meeting announced to select the VMS board representative and was passed without discussion. The only attendee at this third board meeting was the United Board president. These circumstances indicate a secret and perhaps unlawful discussion has taken place. A legal review is in process. I have emails and other documents indicating that the planners and their supporters want to hold closed GRF and corporate meetings rather than include resident input in their discussion on space planning. I have emails that copy non-committee third board president that indicate his level of involvement with space planning issue, thus a relationship to the recall effort. Using the recall and threat as a threat to without cause and lack of using the recall and threat to recall without cause and the lack of resident involvement at the corporate member meetings has become a tool of this third board leadership to promote its own agenda for the village in opposition to the intent of the GRF Trust. The trust provides for the collaboration through committees and other structures with the mutuals, but clearly places the responsibility on managing the services, amenities, common areas, and all the assets of the GRF Trust. The intent of the trust and the structure is to set up and promote working together for the benefit of the village. It has lasted for 60 years. Residents, I call upon you to get involved in the leadership of our community, or we will by default deed it over to those who would destroy it over intra-board politics and maneuvering for personal gamesmanship. In my view, all board members should be leaders and willing and wanting to serve, not advocates or complainers, or have a specific agenda to fix something. From my experience, most who join with that approach either change upon learning the actual circumstances or become disruptive to good governance of this community. You, the residents, and I need to determine where those destructive members are and vote them out. If you are a leader with time to commit, learn, lead, and serve, you can't stand by and have others turn your resort-style community for seniors into a community without direction that fits its designed purpose. Please run for a board position. To be clear, my leadership and direction as a board member officer is not impacted by the recall, and I will continue to move forward to serve my community in the same way and deal with the outcomes as they occur. While my personal situation may certainly warrant that I step away from leadership at this moment, I care too much about this community to ignore the misuse and abuse of the recall provision in our bylaws. Further, I am genuinely concerned that the block voting, the secretive voting, and self-dealing that can take place at the corporate member meetings can lead this community to move in unwise and unintended directions due to the lack of community knowledge and thus its input. I plan to stay engaged with this issue and invite you to stay tuned to make this journey with me. I encourage you to support having a GRF town hall at the PAC to discuss the planning, space planning, and corporate member meetings, and other strategic and governance issues. Let's air out the issues. Sunshine is the best disinfectant ever, but apathy is a disease that can destroy if not treated with your involvement. If you prefer not to lead, be aware of the important events that impact you. And in my newsletter, I'm going to send out something called Team Up, the link to Team Up, so that everybody is aware of how to go. Just click and find the meetings, because there's a ton of meetings that go on here. And it's a very active community, and actually very well run in my view, okay? Is it perfect? No. No community with 2,400 acres and 18,000 people and all the services that are provided for us is perfect. So let's not judge ourselves based on the complaints we have. Let's judge ourselves based on the things that go right. And that's a large number. That's a large number. So I appreciate all of you. I appreciate the time that you've given me. Okay, I've worked with this board, which I do enjoy. I've worked with the community, and I will continue to work with the community regardless of the outcome of this recall. But I urge you to be involved. Thank you for your time and attention. And now let's move on to the CEO report.
Thank you, President Hopkins, members of the board. This morning I'd like to provide updates on some key happenings in our community. I want to start off with the 2025 budget meetings that are starting next week for version 2 and beyond. GRF will be reviewing version 2 of the budget on Wednesday, July 10th at 1:30 p.m. here in the boardroom. And then version 3 of the budget will be reviewed by GRF on Monday, August 5th at 9:30 a.m. here in the boardroom, with adoption of the budget slated for September's open board meeting, which occurs on September 3rd. To view the entire business plan schedule, you can go to the news tab on the Village website, because I know it's difficult to read on the screen before you. I'm also pleased to announce Resident Services has made some enhancements. Automated emails are now being sent for common area requests. These include such things as laundry room repairs, streetlights, rodents, shrubs, and so forth. Residents will now receive timely updates about status of their requests, keeping them informed when a new common area ticket is created, scheduled, and completed. As a reminder, automated messages are sent only if a resident has an email address on file. Residents can also view common area tickets via the resident portal. This provides a transparent, convenient way to stay updated on the progress of common area tickets submitted by residents for any location within the village. Why this update matters? This system previously focused solely on requests associated with individual manners. This new functionality allows residents to monitor resolution of these issues with the same efficiency as tickets associated with their manners. These enhancements are more efficient and responsive to your needs, further highlighting residents' customer services experiences. We're also pleased to share that a new comprehensive information pamphlet is available. It was created by our communications team to inform residents of self-service options for customer service. This details the resident portal, dwelling live, contacts, and more. It is available in resident services right across the hall, at the concierge desk here in the community center, and clubhouses throughout the community. This initiative aligns with the VMS strategic plan to enhance resident services and improve overall satisfaction within the community. We're also pleased to provide an update on the new village website. The design phase, a major project milestone, is now complete. This phase identified key functionalities, design elements for residents, board members, vendors, realtors, and staff. And it created design wireframes that align with brand guidelines, vision, and resident expectations. Now in progress is the development phase that focuses on document handling, search, and single sign-on integration. So residents only have to log in once for all their village items. I also want to mention and thank the residents who collaborated for user testing, enhanced resident engagement, and operational transparency. Their contributions are very valuable to this project. The project completion date is estimated for late August, early September. And I do want to mention that Urban Insight, the developer, will provide an overview of the design, navigation, and search features at the July Media and Communications meeting that takes place here in the boardroom on Monday, July 15th at 1:30 p.m. There will be a Gate 12 facilities closure. Everything behind Gate 12 will be closed for 1 day on Monday, August 12th. This will allow a 1-day slurry coat and striping project to occur on all the pavement in and behind Gate 12. So closed on that day will be all activities including golf, the 19 restaurant, pickleball, lawn bowling, pool 2, and clubhouse 2. And again, it's just a 1-day closure so we can get in, get the project completed, and get everything back open for our residents. I want to share that Security Services is planning an Earthquake Hero Disaster Preparedness event. This will include vendors to help educate and supply village residents, provide an earthquake simulator experience. Orange County Sheriff and Fire Authority will be present and host booths to discuss their disaster response strategies. A Northridge earthquake video will illustrate how neighbors help neighbors during rescue operations, shepherding them to safer shelter during that earthquake about 30 years ago now. Staff is also collaborating with Earthquake Hero to establish the date. It's anticipated to take place 1 month prior to the Great Shakeout, which occurs on October 17th. So please be mindful when you see announcements for that date that has been selected. I'm also pleased to announce another customer service enhancement for monitoring Southern California Edison lighting repairs within the village. VMS has successfully gained access to Edison's ticket system, which allows for efficient work progress monitoring, identifying work that's taking longer than normal to complete, and helps ensure faster service to our community. Beforehand, we had to rely on telephone calls to Edison, emails to Edison, and so forth. Just to go over very quickly the division of lighting responsibility within our community, GRF owns and maintains its walkway lights. There are no street lights within GRF areas. United, the City of Laguna Woods owns and maintains United street lights, while United owns and maintains its own walkway lights. In Third Mutual, there's a variety of responsibility. Street lights are owned by Third Mutual, and repairs are completed by a contractor. However, SCE owns all electrical equipment from the pole to the transformer. Walkway lights are owned by Third Mutual and maintained by VMS. These are the low-level walkway lights. And then the walkway lights that are on the poles are owned and maintained by Southern California Edison. And then the exterior lights within Third are owned by Third and maintained by VMS staff. But again, that's another great way to enhance efficiency to our residents. So if there are lighting issues within the community, please contact Resident Services as your first point of contact, and that contact information is on the screen before you. If we could advance the slide, please. Thank you. I also want to provide a quick update. VMS updated its strategic plan on May 22nd. This included the VMS board and staff executive team. And I'd like to provide a brief overview. The 2024 to 2027 goals are listed on the screen, and they're not in priority order. Those goals are to enhance communication among staff, boards, and residents, to provide exceptional service, to improve operational efficiency and effectiveness, to proactively work with boards to maintain financial stability and longevity, and to attract, develop, and retain high-quality staff. Within those goals are what we call 6-month action items. And so under the enhanced communication among staff, boards, and residents, we are looking to provide the most effective tools to ensure timely responsiveness, effectively communicate our achievements, provide communication vehicles to increase use by residents. Under the provide exceptional services category, the VMS board and staff will measure success, use technology to enhance service delivery, increase accountability, and ensure clear expectations. In terms of proactively working with the boards to maintain financial stability and longevity, we aim to keep costs down, set short and long-term targets, and implement technological solutions. With respect to improving operational efficiency and effectiveness, we are working to streamline workflow processes and to use the best and most cost-effective resources available. And finally, to attract, develop, and retain high-quality staff, we're striving to provide competitive pay and benefits, maintain a respectful environment, exchange ideas collaboratively, and increase ongoing recruitment efforts. And that's my update this morning. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Siobhan. I think there's a lot going on and a lot to look forward towards the future. One of the things that I always have to remind myself is that VMS is a $200 million corporation run by professionals. We see them every day, so we kind of take them for granted. But it is not a small corporation. The other thing is they take care of roughly $175 million worth of GRF assets directly, and to the point where they're dealing with your homes, they also deal with $3.5 billion worth of assets in terms of taking care of, so, or at least administering. So they're not small, and they do a wide range of things. So I do appreciate what you do, okay? It's not perfect, okay? We're all trying to reach perfection, but I do appreciate what you and your team do for us. Thank you again.
Thank you, and it takes all of us. Thank you.
It takes a village to run a village. Okay. Okay. Next on the agenda, are there any responses, other responses to the CEO report?
Siobhan, I would like to ask, please, that the resident services brochure also be given to the library. We do have a rack there, and we get a lot of people through, especially new ones who don't know anything else.
Thank you for that suggestion. We'll make sure it gets over there.
Quick. Yeah.
Joan?
Thank you for that great report. I just want to ask you, when we report a light out, we have to be sure that we get the details of where it is exactly, right?
The location is great, and then if you are able to see the ID code on the light, that just speeds things up.
Yeah, okay,
Otherwise, we
good.
send someone out to verify that
Okay.
information. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
It's a complex series of ownership there. Okay. All right, we'll move on to the next item, which is the open forum. There are 3 minutes per speaker. At this time, members only may address the Board of Directors regarding items not on the agenda and within the jurisdiction of this Board of Directors. The Board reserves the right to limit the total time allotted in the open forum to 30 minutes. A member may speak only during this forum, only once during this forum. Speakers may not give their time to other people, and there should be no audio or video recording by attendees. And please keep your comments civil. Members can attend the meeting by joining the Zoom link or by calling 669-900-6833 or email meeting@vmsinc.org. So we'll move on to the speakers. Open forum.
Yes, real quick, I think Director Bada has a comment because he has his hand raised.
Okay.
Good morning, everybody. I just want to request Siobhan to have this report copy put in my mailbox because when I picked up the package this morning, it wasn't there. Thank you.
Because it was on our desk.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
First speaker is Chris Collins.
Good morning, Chris Collins, 3306Q, and I'm here with an update on the work of the Foundation of Laguna Woods Village, which we do on behalf of village residents who are experiencing temporary financial crisis. Hospice care, what to expect. How would you react to being told that your spouse was being transitioned to hospice care? Fear, sadness. Often people react to the same degree of fear and they did some 20 years ago to a diagnosis of cancer. Today, cancer has become more treatable. So what is your understanding of hospice care? The next broadcast of the Foundation of Laguna Woods Village televised series, which is called Planning for the Inevitable, will focus on questions we all have about hospice care, as well as examine some of the misconceptions and myths. For example, one misconception is that hospice care is only for cancer patients. Another is that patients are only transitioned to hospice care when they have only a few days to live. Another issue is whether a patient can still receive treatment while in hospice care. So what is the difference between hospice and palliative care, and how is hospice care paid for? These questions and issues, among others, have been the focus of the Foundation's broadcast, which aired all during the month of June. Now it's available, if you'd like to tune in at your own schedule, on the Foundation website, which is the Foundation of LagunaWoodsVillage.org, under a special tab called Planning for the Inevitable. This website section includes YouTube links for this broadcast and all of our earlier ones. When you tune in, you'll hear Dr. True McMahon, a graduate of Baylor College of Medicine. Dr. McMahon is the director of outpatient hospice and palliative care at Memorial Care Saddleback. If you have any questions about the topic or the upcoming these broadcasts, you can please contact the Foundation at the Foundation of at comline.com. And for information about the Foundation, please go to our website at the Foundation of LagunaWoodsVillage.org. Please note that donations can always be made to PayPal or a credit card on the Foundation website. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Eileen Garbett.
Thank you, and good morning. I have been the president of the Reformed Temple of Laguna Woods for 2 days. I thought I would only have to deal with disgruntled congregants. Little did I know we are facing a crisis. We have held Friday night Sabbath services in the main room in Clubhouse 1 with our oneg, which is a reception following our services, in the adjoining Dining Room 3 and Art Room for over 15 years. These are annual rollover rooms for our temple. We use the dining room and kitchen for food service and the art room to eat. We use 10 round tables in the art room to accommodate all of our attendees. And I have submitted 2 photos which shows the people during the oneg. It is disappointing and upsetting that you decided to take the rollover art room from us and convert it into a billiards room. We were unaware this is happening. We were told there are 2 other rooms for us to use. However, the 2 other rooms are half the size and do not have a kitchen, which is needed by us. At a recent meeting with Recreation, we were told a solution would be to reduce the size of our congregation to fit into another room, or that our attendees, which typically number 100 people, should wait outside after services until they reset the room for the oneg. What other house of worship would be told to reduce the number of their congregants? I realize we are a club, but we are a house of worship. This decision is compromising our ability to have meaningful worship events. We have no flexibility as to the date we meet because our Sabbath begins on Friday night. This is upsetting to me and our 365 members who live in Laguna Woods, many of whom are here to support us. We have been uprooted and misplaced, and I respectfully ask this board to find a solution for us.
Thank you. Next speaker is Rabbi Joe Mendelson.
Good morning. I want to thank you for taking on the responsibility and take care of the needs of this community. And I understand you're doing the best you can with the information you have available. Our synagogue has the same values. We support the community in many ways. Many members of our congregation are leaders or members of organizations whose mission is to support this community. Laguna Woods Governance, Community Bridge Builders promoting peace and fighting destructive biases, the Foundation, the Clown Club that offers support to people in hospitals and homes. One member even gives baked goods to the Laguna Woods, actually it's the Fire Station 22, to say thank you for taking care of our community. We also work with Laguna Woods as we try to fill our needs and you need to fill yours. With the least amount of inconvenience. For our holidays of Tu B'Shvat and Sukkot, we work with landscaping to make sure they're happy with our arrangements and they help us in return. We were told that we needed to move while Clubhouse 1 was being remodeled. We agreed cheerfully. We paid the cost of moving our stuff. We put a certain amount of our items into storage because it would not fit in PAC. And then we had to change our arrangement with PAC because they needed to put a power cord on the stage. So we agreed to use the 2 dining rooms instead of the main and 1 dining room. We are a religious organization. We use that clubhouse as a synagogue, which is a house of gathering. Sabbath services are on Friday nights. They're open to anyone in the community, no charge, and we have Jews and non-Jews attending regularly. The Golden Range Foundation Recreation and Special Events Department Policies and Procedures states, lottery requests for religious holiday events take priority over club, group, organization rollovers in the lottery requests. Many people fail to realize that our Sabbath is considered the most important holiday in our calendar, even though it happens every week. Most of our holidays we will hold on Fridays just to keep it that important. And that art room is really the second half of our services, because we don't just pray, we need to come together and take care of each other. We need rooms for people to pray, prepare food, and sit to enjoy and socialize. Our senior community has canes, walkers, and wheelchairs. We can't expect them to stand. We need to have places for them to sit. And as clergy, I feel an obligation to have my people feel the joy of Shabbat. I ask for your help in doing so. Thank you.
Next speaker is Stuart Hack.
You know, it's wonderful to have the opportunity to address our homeowners association boards so that they can be aware of residents' concerns and respond appropriately. Every one of you is a volunteer intent on working for the best interests of our residents. As president of the Gardenville Association, I have learned that being aware of those interests and distinguishing them from what I think is so is not always in sync. I learned that when I do not hear back from my members about controversial issues, something is awry. Either the GVA board failed to make them aware of the issues, or they are sleeping. But the controversy is not dead, and inevitably they will awaken. We are far better served to make sure that the issue is engaged with all of the affected parties. All too often in this community, our members arise only after a rule has been changed because they were not alerted prior to the vote on the rule. Third board realized this and has been emailing alerts just prior to their board meetings about issues that they will be voting on in an attempt to make members aware. We do the same thing with the Gardenville Association. It is indelible to me that dodging an issue doesn't work. It also doesn't work to politely listen to those who take the time to communicate and then pay no heed to their input. With due respect to the Recreation Department and to this board, I feel that the issue of taking away the rollover room from the Reformed Temple was dodged by Recreation. They did not notify the temple, they did not ask for our input, and they are trying to force us into inadequate room space. This board has the power, this is not typical of how they operate, and it is a mistake. And this board has a power to right the wrong. This board has the power to put us in alternative places such as Clubhouse 2 and Clubhouse 5 that will accommodate us, or change what you're doing with the room that we've been using. And we appreciate your help.
Next speaker is Naomi Bernstein.
I have been working with recreation for more than 20 years. I've been in charge of room reservations for the temple for the last few years. I volunteered. It's the last time I volunteer. I didn't know anything about the change. I have a friend who reads the Globe from page to every single page. She called me. She said, page 6, down at the bottom, the art room is going to be a billiard room. I checked with Recreation, and yes. We talked about it. There is a multipurpose room in Clubhouse 1. It will hold, apparently will hold, 10 round tables without food tables. Can it be worked out? Yes, we can use it if we limit the number of people who go to the Oneg. Some days, fine, we'll have 100 people. Some days we'll have twice that many. We have 358 members. Holidays, special days, Purim, we're crowded. Those are joyous days. We need that Oneg on Purim, on Sukkot. If that room is almost the same size, if the multipurpose room is almost the same size as the art room, Why can't it be a billiard room? There's also a large billiard room in Clubhouse 1, which was also offered to us. So we would have that one so we could leave the main room, go into the billiard room, and come back in, which would work if we had more time. But it just takes too much time, and we finish services frequently after 9 o'clock, and we have to be out of there by 10. So we can't convert the congregation room to an ONEG room in that short a time and have any time left. Please, there are options. Don't make us reduce our congregation size. Thank you.
Next speaker is Vicki Johnson.
Good morning. I'm Vicki Johnson, Laguna Woods resident. At the last GRF board meeting, I told you about the Orange County Power Authority and that OCPA had presented to City Council on May 15th. Just to recap a little bit, the Orange County Power Authority is seeking to divert about 1/2 of all of our electricity bills from Southern California Edison to Orange County Power Authority. I estimate this would be about 15 to 20 million a year. OCPA requires just 3 city council members to vote yes to join OCPA, and then our whole city would be enrolled. OCPA just buys and sells energy contracts. They've been fined millions, investigated by the FBI, subject to a California grand jury, failed audits because they won't open their books. It's a big risk for our city. I'm concerned because OCPA could be a temptation for city council members. Here's some examples of city council members from other cities involved with OCPA. One was interviewed by the FBI about bribes. Another city council member angled to get an executive position at OCPA that would pay that person about $300,000 a year. Another was allegedly promised a high-level appointment with the state commission. And here's an example of OCPA marketing. On Earth Day this year at Clubhouse 5, they had this poster that says, "Tell City Council to join OCPA." They put the city seal on their poster. I feel this may be improper solicitation and improper lobbying in one of our clubhouses. So previously I asked you to please ask City Council to keep GRF and the rest of us apprised of what's going on at City Council. If City Council is going to continue discussions with OCPA, today I ask that you tell City Council we citizens, residents here, need to form an independent committee to study OCPA. Before City Council gives OCPA anything, OCPA is seeking our city's load data, our electricity statistics, and they will use that to refine their sales pitch. I ask you on our behalf, please ask City Council not to give OCPA anything, no data, no town hall, until we residents have time to study the risks for joining OCPA. Thank you.
Next speaker is Mike Ruff.
That's a good enough pronunciation. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak. I see you have a lot on your minds and a lot of pressures. I'm Mike Rao, a Laguna Woods resident. Please ask the City Council to inform GRF and all Laguna Woods boards and residents about why the City Council is interacting with the Orange County Power Authority, OCPA. On May 15, they granted an entire session for OCPA to make a sales pitch to the City Council. Chris Macon told you that the meeting was for information only and OCPA took only 10 minutes. That minimizes what actually happened. At that meeting, strong opposition was made by knowledgeable critics. Now the City Council is planning to dedicate a town hall for OCPA to continue making their pitch. I spoke to you in the open comment session of the GRF board meeting of June 4th. I urge that you be aware of the danger posed by OCPA. They have marched into Laguna Woods with an aggressive, well-articulated campaign aimed specifically to get merely 3 city council members to vote in favor of an agreement with them that would force all the households and businesses of Laguna Woods to divert to OCPA the payments we now make to Edison. This would empower OCPA to manage the delivery of our electricity. All they need to lock in the deal is 3 votes. You can view the City Council meeting on YouTube. The hour-long session for OCPA begins at minute 42. Make a note of that if you'd like to look at it. OCPA is not regulated, and they can make any opaque, risky deals in the energy market they wish. In their short existence, they have leveraged ratepayer money into a reserve of over $80 million. What are they doing, and what is the risk to the city? The City Council should have dropped consideration of OCPA, but now they are planning to hold a town hall for further discussion. This is risky. OCPA is aiming for a joint powers authority agreement that would turn Laguna Woods legally into an energy provider with ironclad liabilities that could lose Laguna Woods millions of dollars. Thank you for your attention.
Next speaker is Georgiana Willis.
Good morning, Board. As a Christian, I fully support the temple. And I would remind the Board that those who bless Israel will be blessed, and those who curse Israel will be cursed. Okay, I have some questions. I don't know if anybody read the article in the about the Orange County Fairgrounds, their equestrian center, and they're evicting some of their horses. They're basically going from $1,000 a month to $1,100 a month because they can't keep a horse for $1,000 a month. And we have 25 residents here, I think, who have horses, plus I guess some of their family and friends. And if you live here, you're paying $265 a month, not $1,000 or $1,100. And if you don't live here, you're paying $325 a month. And so most of that burden is falling on us and part of our HOA. So I think the rates need to go up, at least to around the 1,100 range. There are some other kennels around that are similarly priced, but nothing at $265 or $325. So I have a question about that. When are the rates going to go up? Because that's ridiculous. And the other one is having to do with the golf course. I think the 2025 capital expenditures for moors and stuff like that, some kind of sprayer, comes to about $366,000. So it's a greens moor for $55,000, a rough moor for $200,000, a golf sprayer, course sprayer for $75,000, a sod cutter $10,000, and something else for $24,000. So I was wondering. And also I heard that we may need to replace the water thing, the pipe or something that takes the water to the golf course is 60 years old. So I'm wondering if that's something that's going to be added to the capital budget. Each of us pays $65 per man or per month toward the golf course, and I think those rates need to be examined as well, because right now the burden is falling on those of us who live here, whether we use it or not. Thank you.
The next speaker is Bill Walsh.
I came today because I wanted to just put in a word for energy. You folks are have a lot on your plates, and some of it's pretty distracting. On June 12th, we had the pleasure of having UCI students and Cypress College students come present some information about recent technology upgrades that will help us save energy. And I would really hope that this board gets together with VMS and investigates those. That does not mean going and putting $5 million worth of solar panels on buildings. It means maybe putting some sensors in here or putting a variable speed drive on an HVAC system to see if they really work, just to test the technologies. But their findings look like they're going to save GRF a lot of money. And if they do pan out, that would be a wonderful thing. One other thing, it's been a while since I talked to Chuck Holland. Does he still work here? Okay. I don't think that all of the clubhouses can talk to the energy management system at this point, and I think it's something that needs to be done if it's not true. So I encourage you to work on developing cheaper electricity systems in the community so our assessments can go down. And 6-7 years ago, when Steve and I were working in United and Third, respectively, we put in systems, I think, that are probably saving the community hundreds of thousands of dollars a year right now because of solar panels, because of LED lighting, street lighting, walkway lighting, more efficient appliances in the laundry rooms, and might as well go on with GRF and start working that over for a while. I appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Next speaker is Cynthia Connors.
Good morning. I'm Cynthia Connors. I'm a member of the Laguna Woods City Council, but I'm here today on behalf of myself only. I came here actually because I knew you were considering a security issue, but I wanted to respond to some comments about the Orange County Power Authority. It's been asserted that the council is, quote, interacting with the OCPA. I just want to clarify the record and make sure everybody understands that people in the village are concerned about green energy. They have brought those concerns to our city council. They have asked us to investigate it. The council listens to the residents. If they want us to look at something, we look at something. To my knowledge, no council member has met individually with any member of the OCPA or any representative. We believe in conducting the city's business in public so that everybody knows what we know and they know why we've made our decisions. We are a long way from making any decision. I don't know that any council member has made up his or her mind. What I will say is we listened to the presentation by the OCPA. We listened to the comments by all the others who were there, and there were many detractors there. There were many questions raised. We have heard these things. We're paying attention to them, and we're taking our time, and we're investigating. And that's all we're doing. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, and we have on Zoom 2 speakers who requested to speak. So the first one is Ann Beltran.
Good morning. This is Ann Beltran, 854 Rhonda Mendoza, Unit O. I'm speaking to the same energy topics that Bill Walsh just spoke to. As he said at the June GRF Maintenance and Construction Meeting, the UCI SMART program presented energy study results conducted of all our clubhouses and the community center. The study by college students and their mentors yielded 10 recommendations for how GRF could reduce its energy usage. The two biggest energy gobblers are lighting and HVAC systems. The estimated project cost of replacing current lights with LEDs and upgrading HVAC panels was about $110,000 with a payback of slightly more than a year, only a year to pay back. Adding solar energy panels for all the clubhouses and community centers was estimated at $330,000. And it is another big kilowatt saver at almost 50,000 cost savings a year, 50,000 savings a year. And those are estimated at the Edison's 2021 and 2022 energy cost rates. So because rates are going up, there could be a shorter payback period than what was estimated at over 6 years. Again, that was for all the clubhouses and the community center, and there is nothing that would prevent us from sort of picking one a year to fund and create a track record. So at the end of the meeting, Bart Mejia said that VMS's budget proposals for the coming year will include improvements to Clubhouse 7's HVAC and to our energy management system. So these are very critical. The latter to the energy management system is key to realizing other cost savings in centralized management of our lighting and heating systems. These are proposals for the GRF budget we should support this year. And going forward in the future, with these 10 recommendations, it's almost analogous to the Urban Forest Management Plan, which was adopted this year by the mutuals. We have a plan of action. We have 10 researched and studied recommendations. This is something that we can incorporate in our plans going forward. Thank you.
Thank you. And then the other speaker on Zoom is Sue Kwam.
Good.
Okay, Sue, try again.
Hello. Am I going through now? I hope so. I wanted to go back to the recall effort. I would like to know a couple of things. What are the rules for recall? I would think that there should be some standards as to how a recall is warranted. And then
Ms. Quam, that is an agenda item.
Oh,
and
it
so
is?
this
Okay.
is your comments are misplaced.
Okay.
Okay.
I have another question.
Okay.
And the other question is that there, and perhaps this goes in the other place, but I'm not sure if I could be here through the whole thing. There is an allegation that Jim used staff time to create an estimate for building E. And Jim has refuted that. And so I think the only way to get clarity on this is to ask the financial staff. Did they or did they not provide service?
Okay.
That's my question. And at some point during the meeting, I think it would be helpful to us to have that answered.
I'm sorry, what was the question again?
It is alleged that in the presentations for coming forward, they were told that they could not get staff assistance for building estimates as to the cost. And it was alleged that
so you're saying to get those estimates?
No. What I'm asking is that it was alleged that estimates were provided by the staff. And all I want to do is ask the staff if that was true. and then we can put that to bed.
Okay, thank you.
We have Georgiana Willis requesting to speak again. We typically don't allow that. I just wanted to run that by you, President Hopkins. Okay, thank you. That is all for open forum. I did want to remind everyone in the audience there is a glasses case on the countertop here. I'm not sure if someone left that here, but just wanted to let everyone know. Thank you.
Okay, we will now have board responses to the areas that were brought up by the member comments. Do we have any responses? Okay.
Oh, thank you. I'll remove it right now.
Steve? Steve?
Well, first I'd like to say it's a pleasure to be back. It's been a long time since I've been involved in village business. I wanted to address a couple of comments. Georgiana, you have my support wholeheartedly about fees in the village and the shared cost expense. To Bill Walsh, yep, you and I and Bert Maldau and Carl Randazzo worked for years to try to get many energy plans implemented in the village. We were successful in many in both United and Third Mutual. Some LED lighting projects in GRF, but I am hoping now that I am a new director on GRF that I can use my knowledge and influence to try to get some cost-effective plans into effect to start saving money for all the residents here, particularly when it comes to electricity and the amount of electricity that's used and the cost therein. And let's see. Finally, on the issue of the OC Power Authority, I'm not overly familiar with it. However, I believe this comes down to a community choice aggregation process, which is allowed under law, and no one is forced to leave their current electrical provider and move to another one. It is a choice. So the City Council is allowing OCPA to make their presentations and make their pitches. And if individual residents here with their own meters want to leave SCE and go to OCPA and choose one of their renewable plans from 42% or 77% renewable or 100% renewable, they may do so. And they will then sign a contract with OCPA as a customer, and until such time they can decide that they no longer want to be an OCPA customer and they will return to being an SCE customer. So again, to my knowledge, no one is being forced to do anything. An opportunity is being afforded to residents in the village who have their own electric meters and pay their own bills to choose another electric service provider. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Egon?
Yeah, I want to follow up on what Steve just said. If OCPA is interested in getting us to switch over to them, then they ought to address us directly instead of addressing the City Council. Because unless I'm mistaken, when City Council made the change of our trash pickup company, we were not informed about what was going on. And other than what Vicki Johnson has brought to our attention, nobody from City Council has ever, that I know of, sent a letter or an email out saying, hey, we're discussing this very important project. So if OCPA really wants to come in here, they ought to address us. not the city council, which represents 10 people that live outside the village and 18,000 that live inside the village. So that's my comment on that. Thank you.
Okay, Yvonne, you have any comments?
My turn?
Yeah.
One of the things that I did want to point out that for Georgiana, fees are determined by the
Finance committee.
yeah,
Finance.
by you, yeah, by your committee, whatever the name of it is, Finance Committee, and they have a new program where we go and we check all of our fees every other year. And this year, you might be interested to know that it's the Equestrian Center and Golf. It's perfect timing, right? The other thing is that about the room, okay? I'm sorry you've only been here 2 days and you got this thrown in your lap. We've discussed this. The reason that we're doing it is because we need space. And let me finish, and I might muff this up. We have a bunch of musicians that want to use the pack. And so we're going to move all of the billiards over to Clubhouse 1. That's what it was about. And we've discussed this at open meetings before. And I'm sorry that you didn't know. But we thought that both rooms are about the same size. No. Please. I said about. Okay? All right. You disagree. But we decided, because there's a shortage of space, that what we have is, if we close down the billiards room at Clubhouse 3 and combine them both over at Clubhouse 1, we'll have an additional room to rent out to other clubs. If you don't like that, that's all right. And we have the director of recreation right here that she's been trying to work with everybody and trying to come up with a suitable, something suitable for you. But anyway, I think that I'm just muffing this up. Anyway, that was our decision to use that art room for billiards. So, did you want to add anything, or? Yikes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Since this is a bit, I'm sorry, not you, sir. You had your chance. We want to hear. We want to hear from. I'm sorry. We want to hear from recreation. We want to hear from recreation. She was asking recreation. But thank you. I don't mean to.
I'm sorry. I thought we were asked to respond.
Oh no.
No, I never
We're
asked.
asking her to respond.
Good morning, President Hopkins and members of the board. A few things. We know that the room is not the same size. The billiards room, which is going to be the multipurpose room, is a little bit smaller, about 475 square feet smaller. Some of the, please. One thing I want to clarify, the group was never told they had to lessen their numbers. That is, we would never say that. As with every group in the village, there is a maximum capacity that we can't continue to grow. We don't have many places to move people. We are looking at options of moving to Clubhouse 5. Unfortunately, the group there does not want to move. They have about 70 ballroom dancers that require a lot of space. So that's one of the options that we are still looking into. It was mentioned they need 10 tables for the ONEG, and that's about a max of 100 people. We noticed it's about an average of 65 people for that portion of their event every Friday. That should then We need to look at some utilization then, because that's what we have recorded on an average in 2023. But 10 tables fits a max of 8 to 10 people per table. That's a max of 100 people. That should fit in the new multi-purpose room. So we are looking at different options. We're looking at different setup options. We're not looking to cut the group size. We in no way would ever want the group size to go down, but we may have to get creative in our approach, and that is what we are still looking into. So it was brought up. We do have to look at, and it's not this group's fault. We've had a grandfather, an unofficial grandfather option where they are getting more reservations than other groups per our policy. So that's one thing that we're looking into, and if we have to bring it back to the board for an exception, we will do that as well. But we're not looking to drastically change what they're participating in every Friday. We're trying to make it work. We're trying to open up more space at other rooms. And we have a lot of groups coming at us for space. We had billiards players that were displaced. There's a lot of moving parts in this. So those are the facts that I can offer here today. But we would never tell them that they have to lessen their numbers. At some point, we just can't grow much more. So. Well, most groups cannot grow given the room space that they have. That is correct.
Okay. Did you want to reply to her? Or
I want to ask Allison a question.
Okay.
Yes. Hi.
Hi.
Are you working directly then with the Jewish group to find the space?
As far as I know, we haven't worked directly with the reservation holder, but we have had other participants come in and try and offer information as well. So we have met with some of them, yes.
Sounds like we need to continue that.
Yes,
okay,
absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay, Donna?
Yeah, I don't know if it's appropriate at this time, but I just wanted to thank everybody for coming and for letting us hear your concerns. We heard about multiple serious issues, all of which I think require some investigation and thought, but we can't know unless we hear from you. And so thank you for coming and thank you for participating.
Bill?
Actually, I have a question. Allison? Sorry. Wanted to get you before you walked away. Thank you very much. And I have no doubt that everything you told us is accurate. What is apparent is that there is a differing perception on behalf of the temple, that they don't feel that they've been engaged, and they don't feel they've been communicated with. And so I think that it would be very important to do so. And this is not a criticism. I know there's a lot of moving parts, and I know you do an outstanding job, but clearly they don't feel like they were engaged. So I got that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I want to thank everybody for participating today, and my thoughts on the issues involving the temple you just heard. There is another apparent lack of alignment of understanding on what the OCPA is, what it means to take part in it, what's going on at the City Council, and so we need to pay attention to that, because if the most severe criticisms are 100% accurate, it is a very disturbing issue. And it's been my experience that nobody's 100% accurate, including myself, but I do think that OCPA, I guess Vicki, who came in as now, this is the second meeting that she's raised this, so we should pay attention to that. And the comment on fees was already addressed, that it's a process. We are in process this year, and so we will go through that as well. I have no idea what the internal control costs are on the electrical issue, but that's obviously something that we need to deal with. And I think that, Sue asked questions about the recall. What are the rules? I mean, our bylaws are online, and the process is there. And the questions, perfectly appropriate to address questions. It's a procedural issue about when and where, and open forum is not the time to address a issue that is on the agenda, but your input is welcome, and I encourage you to participate and to offer that forward. Thank you.
Okay. Martin?
Pardon my tardiness. I want to say amen to what Bill was saying. Thank you for coming out, for the participation, for allowing us to hear what was brought forth. It's really important that, it's great to see the room full, And I certainly, if someone told you, you got to reduce your size of your congregation, man, that's the first I've ever heard that. It's like, wow. If somebody from VM, I'm sure Siobhan would want to know, or if somebody from the staff would have done something like that, that's just taking you in the wrong direction. That's understandable. So if there's a name, it's got to be dealt with. But I don't want to do any character assassinations. Regarding the solar on the clubhouses, I believe there's been studies that we've got numbers that indicate what our costs versus savings are already. I think in such that I don't know where that those numbers are at, but I don't know if we have anybody here from staff that can reflect on that. But I just want to thank again everybody coming out for the participation. Thank you.
He's always got to say something different.
I'd like to speak to Mike and Georgiana and to Cynthia, and thank you, Cynthia, for coming. It's always nice when we cooperate with our city council. I don't know if everybody is aware, but every one of our city council members is a village resident. So they understand issues here. We need to understand the issues that they have. And I encourage you all to go to their meetings, which are the third Wednesday, 2:00 over at City Hall, or you can watch it on TV. It's not on Channel 6, it's on Channel, used to be 3, I believe it's 30 now. But they are televised as well if you can't, and they have Zoom. And if you contact City Hall, they will send you their agenda every single month so that you know what they're talking about and what the issues are and what the background is on every issue. Now, OCPA is definitely an issue that we need to be concerned with, but we need to know about it all. And so participate, just like we ask you to participate with us. We're a private community, but we are all city members. We are all city residents, and it's our responsibility to find out what's going on there. We can't expect that they, in every case, can contact every one of us and know what's going on. It's a two-way street. So please be aware of what's going on at the city and participate.
Okay, Joan? Okay. First, thank you all for coming. Really do appreciate it. Really hearing from all of you. That's kind of what we do. That's our service. Let me start with Chris Collins and the foundation, because she asked for increased donation, increased attention to their needs, and I don't want that to be lost in the shuffle. The foundation does great work. We all take it for granted. And so I would just ask all of us to take a look at contributing more to the Laguna Woods Foundation. I'm sorry, the Golden Rain Foundation. Chris, are you still here?
She left.
What is it?
The Laguna Woods.
Oh, the Foundation of Laguna Woods. Okay. So,
There's a mix-up because we're Golden Rain Foundation.
right. So it's the Foundation of Laguna Woods. So please consider a contribution, and I know I will. And by the way, it hit home because my wife and I are going through a hospice situation now. So it hit home what she said about what they do for hospice, and I'm going to look up her website. I think a lot has been said about the temple situation, and one of the things, my background is finance, and I realize that the 475 square feet is 70 by 70. That's a lot, okay? So it is something that I think needs to be considered. I don't know what the outcomes are, or et cetera, because it also fits into what we're going through now with the space planning. And I know it's hard to find a relationship, but there are proposals on board right now that would reduce the available space, mostly to residents, by about 5,500 square feet. And so, you know, we've got to find that connectivity, folks. It's not just that particular committee or that particular amenity. Space is space. And we're having very much difficulty now with the expansion of the number of activities, not just the people who participate in one or two activities, but the number of activities that are coming to our community that different backgrounds and cultures bring, okay, requires us to really constantly look at space. So reducing space at this time, to me, makes no sense at all. Zero. Right? And that kind of gets me into the whole shared cost, okay, which I think people mentioned on, but they mentioned it each by its own amenity. We do, in the past, the way shared cost was looked at was by each amenity, each committee would bring forward and say, hey, you know what, I think it's time to look at cost, look at our expenses or fees. And that didn't work. So first thing we had to do was put in a process that worked. And in every company I know, it's usually finance that drives the top line of revenue and fees. So we changed that process last year for the first time in 60 years. Rather than changes in fees being implemented at the committee, at the operating committee level, it's now at the finance committee level. And we put a schedule in place where every year or every 2 years or up to 3, every fee is reviewed. What that allows us to do now is to look at the fees from the top level, from an enterprise level. Once we do that, then we can start making informed adjustments, planned adjustments to shared cost, not just, I'll call them ad hoc adjustments to shared cost. So we have to look at shared cost on an ongoing basis, but not pick it apart by amenity, but look at it as a total. It is part of the fabric of this community, and we need to obviously manage it. And I think we now have the tools and the process to manage it. So thank you for bringing it up, but I just wanted to make that clear that we are looking at it, but it takes a process to do that. I think the last time I looked at energy, I think was when I first got on the board, and it is an ongoing issue or problem. Keep in mind that a lot of the returns, many of you may remember Bert Maldo, and I worked with him extensively behind the scenes to do some ROIs at that time. Now, at that time, the ROIs were not as great as they may be today. But we'll continue to look at energy because it is something we need to look at. It's not going away. Keep in mind that GRF, its energy consumption is roughly currently less than $1 million a year. So ROIs on energy can be have to be really looked at very difficult, but with a lot of scrutiny. As far as the question on building that came up about the building E staff having access to staff, the allegation, right? The allegation is false. The allegation was that they were not allowed to use staff. That were the rules for all of the proposals at that time. Every single proposal could not use staff to do any sort of estimating. And the reason was we wanted the ideas to flow, and you do your own cost estimates, and then staff would evaluate them, all right? Later on, staff agreed that they could, once we got down to 2 proposals, staff agreed they would evaluate them and actually support that. That is now being done. And so staff will be able to, is now evaluating each of the 2 proposals that are on board right now. In fact, I got an email from the director, Gomez, asking could he support the other team in their space planning? And I said, yeah. He offered the same for me, and I said, fine, evaluate it. But we wanted an independent valuation of cost. Cost is not the only factor here, though, but we wanted an independent evaluation of that. It's called a rough order of magnitude because to get actual or more detailed costs, you'd have to go outside, you'd have to pay, you have to put things to bid. You don't normally put to bid 2 very differing proposals. You decide on the best proposal first, and then you put it out to bid. That's how you work that. So I think I've addressed all of the things that came up during the, or we have addressed all of the items that came up during the open forum. Okay.
My apologies. I missed reading an email that was sent in from a resident. Is it okay if I read that right now?
Sure.
Okay, perfect. It's from Joseph Siri, and they said, "Dear members of the Golden Rain Foundation GRF Board, in thanking you for your service, I strongly support a recent recommendation presented to your Maintenance and Construction Committee for your consideration. At the June GRF Maintenance and Construction Committee meeting, the University of California at Irvine's SMART program presented a study of energy use in our clubhouse and community center. I fully support and want you to adopt a plan to implement their 10 excellent suggestions. In the spirit of minimizing costs for essential electricity expenses in our commonly used areas over the coming years, I endorse all 10 suggested opportunities for significant savings in the University of California at Irvine's utility use study. I remind you that utility rates are increasing and urge you to consider the importance of investing now to save money in the coming years. Specifically, purchasing new fixtures to replace current lights with LEDs and upgrading HVAC equipment with efficient heat pump technology would be a giant step for holding the line on rising utility costs for the future. This expert study proposed 10 recommendations for how GRF could reduce energy use. The 2 biggest energy expenditures are for lighting and HVAC systems. The estimated project cost of replacing current lights with LEDs and upgrading HVAC panels was about $110,000 with a payback of slightly more than a year. Adding a photovoltaic or PV panels estimated at $330,000 is another big saver. Nearly $50,000 a year of cost savings is substantial. PV has the longest payback at over 6 years. VMS's budget proposals for the coming year will include improvements to Clubhouse 7's HVAC and our energy management system. The latter is key to realizing other cost savings and centralized management of our lighting and heating systems. While the expense of adding solar energy panels must be weighed against future savings, you should consider addressing 2 related reasons for extending our present PV deployment. First, the most expensive electricity used by our common areas during the day. When the electricity demand happens in late mornings and afternoons, PV-generated electricity use can offset this costly consumption. Second is a technical matter bearing on your willingness to tackle peak shaving. The term refers to the widespread practice among electricity consumers of curtailing expenses during the costliest hours of the day when rates for utility consumption are highest. TOU, or time of use billing in Southern California Edison's, means to manage demand when excessive electricity consumption strains their delivery of power to consumers. Peak shaving is the smart consumer's response to reducing the kilowatt hours needed at those periods of the day when power costs the most. By acting now to deploy a plan to adopt all 10 recommendations suggested by experts at UCI, you will have taken a huge step forward in protecting our community from inflation's inevitable costly impacts on our reserve and increase in HOA fees. Your support for these money-saving proposals and the GRF budget for this and subsequent years demonstrates smart, efficient, and responsible leadership. And that is all.
Okay. Anybody have any?
Just ask, can you share that email with the board, please?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Siobhan, do you have any comments?
you answered the question that I was going to answer about the allegation, which was false. And then I just want to thank everyone at the temple for coming this morning, and staff is committed to continuing to work with you to find a solution.
Yeah, there was a lot of things being said about the space planning committee. There are emails floating around that basically are very, very false. Okay, I can't do anything, or we can't do anything about what people want to put in writing, except save it, because it tells and shows what perhaps this recall is all about, and the falsehoods that are floating around there that are feeding the fervor for this recall. And given everything that we are dealing with right now, can't you see the distraction that something like this causes in this community? We've got a lot of things, important things, that are important to all of us as a community, and yet we got an inter-board squabble. That's what it is, a power play going on that's impacting our ability and distracting us from doing the business of this community, which is number one. That's what we signed up for. So I thank you all for coming. I really do. I appreciate it. And let's get on with the business. Okay.
I'd just like to make one comment. We appreciated everybody that came this morning, but I personally am very disappointed when half of you get up and leave as soon as you've had your say. You don't listen for answers. You don't stay for the rest of the meeting to see the business of the board.
We're still here.
You're still here, but there are quite a few on TV that saw this big house, and they didn't see everybody get up and leave. When you come to speak to us, please stay for the whole meeting.
Okay.
Sorry, preaching to the choir.
Okay. Any other comments? Okay. Bill, you have your pensive look on.
No, I mean, that's right. Yes, when people come, they should stay, but it does, telling the people who stayed that they should stay is. But I'm sorry. I do thank you for making the comment that participation doesn't end when you have said your piece and walk out the door. So thank you, everybody.
Great thought. Participation doesn't begin when you leave us when you leave. Doesn't end when you leave here. Okay, and we'll beat her up in closed session. Don't worry. Okay, thank you. And so I guess we can go on with the consent calendar. Okay. Would you? I believe I defer to the Madam Secretary. Okay, you had some changes to the consent calendar.
All we have on the consent calendar is the recommendation from the Finance Committee. Consistent with the statutory obligations, a subcommittee of the board consisting of the treasurer and at least one other board member reviewed and approved preliminary Golden Rain Foundation financials for the month of May 2024. By this vote, ratify that such review be confirmed in this month's board member open session meeting minutes. I move that we approve the Finance Committee report under the consent calendar. I move we report let me try this again. I move we approve the consent calendar.
Moved in second.
Martin, second.
Are there any comments, objections? Hearing none, the consent calendar is approved.
Okay.
Okay. And that includes San Sebastian.
Okay, I'll go to unfinished business.
Okay. Let's move to unfinished business, and we'll have a Clubhouse 1 renovation update. Is that from staff?
Good morning, Board President and board members. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. I just want to give you a brief update on what's going on with the Clubhouse 1 renovation. As you know, anytime you renovate, you discover new things that you weren't anticipating. We have discovered some things that we had to make right. However, as of Friday, when I met with the contractor, they are still on schedule to meet the August deadline. So I'm happy to report that. Right now, there's a lot of the finishes that are going in. So the tiles being laid, the bathrooms are completed with the tile. You're going to start seeing fixtures and the partitions and just lots of finishes going in, cabinets, countertops, things like that, appliances. So it's really taking shape now, and we're starting to see the fruits of the labor. It's really going well, and so I'm here to take any questions if you have any questions about the project.
It's still on the time frame of end of August?
Yes, so right now, the last report, as of Friday of last week, it was end of August. That is correct.
That's unusual for construction programs to be on time and right along with the estimates.
It is, and there have been a lot of challenges and things that would normally cause delay, but the contractor's done a good job of staying on top of it, bringing in more crews when necessary. So we're happy to report that. We're not at the finish line yet. There's still, 2 months to go, and hopefully it continues the same.
Thank you, guys. Steve?
Guy, because I haven't been here for a while, I'm curious as to what the budget was for the total renovation cost for that.
So the contract amount, off the top of my head.
Off the top of your head.
2.994615.
$3 million.
Pardon?
$3 million?
Yeah, just
Thank
under
you.
3 million.
Okay, thank
Correct.
you.
3.1.
Thank you.
Yeah, so there's a budget that exceeds that amount.
Yeah,
but
and
that's what the contract amount is.
Okay, thank you.
Martin?
Regarding the workout equipment, what is the status of their replacement of old, or is there a change in some of the equipment in this renovation, or are we using the same equipment?
To my knowledge, so I can tell you that this contract does not include replacing equipment. However, that may be something that Recreation is working on through the budget process.
Yeah, because some of the equipment is kind of getting aged, and just wondered. Thank you.
Egon? Donna?
Yeah, I want to comment on that, Martin. I hope like hell nothing is being replaced because nothing has been discussed. This is how we get into problems. We get people assuming that something has been approved or discussed, and then the people have behind the door comments with each other. Nothing has been approved except for one machine, and the last time things were approved without us knowing about it, we ended up with a bunch of televisions in that other exercise room, and we've had nothing but problems with that ever since. So I hope we have a meeting before we approve or even ask for anything to be replaced. Thank you.
Donna?
Yeah, just my recollection, and I haven't heard of any change in that, is that there is some exercise equipment that's pretty stable that doesn't change. You might have a treadmill that doesn't change at all, but that recently, in the last several years, there have been great innovations in exercise equipment that involves electronics, digital things, screens, etc. And the committee that looked at it at the time that I was on it decided that to keep up with that would be ridiculously costly to purchase those machines, and that leasing those that change very rapidly, and they would be maintained by the lease company, so they'd always be working, was the way to go. And those that are more stable, your weights that you're lifting or whatever, are the ones we would replace. So what's being replaced now, I don't know, but I just thought since we do have several folks listening in, it might be good for them to know that I haven't heard of any change in that policy, that those things that change rapidly would be leased, and those things that are much more stable in the way they function are the ones that we would own.
Point of order.
Yeah,
Point of order.
That's what I understand to be the case. The details.
Point of order, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, point of order. The details are probably, you would go to community activities, okay? So we can't really get into all the details here because we don't know all the details. But I do know there is a strategy to as you mentioned, Donna, to replace, to lease those that are rapidly turning over in terms of technology, and do otherwise with those that are not, which is
I
to
have a
purchase
point
them.
of order. We need to stick to the topic, which is the progression of the Clubhouse 1 renovation,
Yeah.
not the
equipment.
Not
in
the
it.
equipment.
Not the equipment.
The
yes.
answers are there, good, but let's stay on the topic.
Well taken. Okay.
One other question. Do you have a tally on the, what the change order total is?
You were here, we
We're
moved
going to-
that, it's going to be item C.
Change orders coming up under
Oh.
under new business.
11A?
Mm-hmm.
It'll be E under new business.
Okay. Okay, so,
11A.
all right, we done with Clubhouse 1 renovation?
Thank
Okay,
you.
let's move on to Building E update. Is that me? Or is that someone out there? Hmm?
Manual.
Is Manuel? Manuel, are you here for Building E update?
Mr. President, I'm here to answer any questions you may have. I don't have the background as to why this item is on the agenda.
Okay. I guess it's been here the last couple of meetings, but as chair of the committee, I'll just give a brief update. We are having a meeting. GRF is having a special meeting on July 8th at 9:30 a.m. to consider the two proposals that are on the table for space planning. So it is a GRF meeting, open meeting, and all are invited to attend. It's where GRF considers both and determine what the next steps should be in this process. So July 8th, Monday, 9:30 a.m. And I believe it's here in the boardroom. So when I will send you the team up calendar so you can always all be aware of all the meetings coming up. Okay. All right, so that's my update. Let's go on to new business. And first is to entertain a motion to approve the City of Laguna Woods Memorandum of Understanding providing security services department access to Orange County Fire Authority emergency radio monitoring. It's a mouthful.
Resolution 90-24-XX, City of Laguna Woods Memorandum of Understanding providing the Security Services Department access to Orange County Fire Authority emergency radio monitoring. Whereas 4 years ago, the Orange County Fire Authority, OCFA, implemented a new 800 megahertz encryption radio system incompatible with security radio equipment. And whereas through an MOU between the City of Laguna Woods and the Golden Rain Foundation, security would be able to monitor the OCFA radio frequency. And whereas having the ability to monitor the OCFA radio frequencies will allow security to establish better coordination and with fire personnel during emergencies. Now, therefore, be it resolved that on July 2nd, 2024, that the Board of Directors of this corporation hereby approves the purchase of two 800 megahertz radios with an annual usage and activation cost of $1,620 to be funded from the operating fund by entering into an MOU with the City of Laguna Woods, and resolved further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of this corporation to carry out the purposes of this resolution. I move that we approve this resolution.
I second.
Juanita seconds.
Moved and second. Are there any questions or comments? Okay. Any objections? Motion approved. Next. Next on the item is to entertain a motion to approve emergency radio communications equipment installation.
Resolution 90-24-XX, emergency radio equipment installation. Whereas communication between the care and reception centers and the incident command center in case of a disaster is key and can be significantly improved with the installation of radio antennas. And whereas the Board of Directors purchased emergency radio equipment, antennas, shielded coaxial cable, and hardware in 2020. And whereas after reviewing the scope and associated man-hours to complete the project, it was determined by the project manager to outsource this project. Now therefore be it resolved July 2nd, 2024, that the Board of Directors of this corporation hereby authorizes a supplemental appropriation in the amount of $12,375 funded from the Equipment Fund to install the emergency radio equipment. And resolved further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of this corporation to carry out the purpose of this resolution. I move that we approve this resolution.
Second.
Well, you just go, okay.
Ready for the discussion? Yes.
Needs to be reiterated that these antennas are ham radio, amateur radio equipment. It's not licensed two-way equipment that is like in the public safety sector, and that it's limited, its connectivity is limited as to where you're going to get to. So in the event of an emergency, don't plan on using these radios to go beyond where it can go point to point. You cannot, like, there's like equipment that can do telephone interconnect, trunking, things like that. That's not what this involves. This is a very basic backup system. And, okay, thank you.
Okay. Are you ready for the vote? All those in are there any objections to this motion? Hearing none, the motion is approved. Okay. Item C, to entertain a motion to approve the 2023 operating fund deficit. And we have Director Homer here to present the case.
Good morning, members of the board. Hopefully I'll be quick here before you. I'll read quickly the staff recommendation. Staff recommends the approval of a $1.1 million transfer from the contingency fund to the operating fund due to the operating fund deficit in 2023. I will remind the board that we had planned for a $1.5 million deficit that was in the budget, and the intent of that was in the past few years you've had a surplus. So this was a way to give back that surplus to the community. So again, you planned part of the 2023 budget a 1.5. There was some favorability in both the outside services as well as the employee compensation. Therefore, you ended the year at $1.1 million. So we're asking that those funds from the contingency fund be transferred to the operating fund.
And I may add that this is a regular operation. Mm-hmm. This does not impact your HOA fees at all. It was a planned deficit because there was a give back in prior years. So no impact. And this is just a perfunctory requirement to get approval.
Yes. Yeah, anytime we touch the contingency fund, it requires board approval, so this is just the annual process.
Okay. Any other comments, questions? You want to read the...
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Resolution 90-24-XX, 2023 operating deficit transfer. Whereas the Golden Rain Foundation of Laguna Woods operating statement as of December 31st, 2023 reflected an operating deficit net of depreciation in the amount of $1,100,881 due to GRF's 2023 fiscal year operating fund expenses exceeding revenues by $1,100,881. after excluding non-cash depreciation expenses. And now, therefore, be it resolved, July 2nd, 2024, that the Board of Directors hereby authorizes a transfer in the amount of $100,881 from the contingency fund to the operating fund due to the 2023 operating fund deficit. And resolve further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out the purpose of this resolution. I move that we approve this resolution.
I second.
And Martin seconds. Okay.
Moved in second. Are there any objections? Hearing none, the motion is approved. Okay. Next is to entertain a motion to approve a date for a special corporate members meeting regarding a recall of 2 GRF Board of Directors. Given that...
Do we have a date? Did you get a date?
Well, I'm going to get a suggestion for a date. Okay. So,
I'll read it. I'll read it.
Yeah, so I guess the first thing we need is to bring in a date, right? Is that the first thing?
That's what I would like to do.
Okay. All right, so let me just say that because Director Horton and myself are a subject of the recall, then we will recuse ourselves from this vote. So I will turn over the discussion of this to our esteemed first Vice President, Juanita Skillman.
Thank you, Mr. President.
I need to read it.
All right, I would ask members of the board here if there are suggestions of the date to include into this resolution.
Do you want to do that before I read it or after?
Well, if we want to put it in the resolution, I would say
Okay.
before. Seeing none, I would like to offer September 8th? 4th. September 4th, the day after our September meeting, for the meeting. Are there any other, Nate's? All right, any objection to the September 4th date?
I have a question.
Yes.
Excuse me. The day after our meeting is always a VMS board meeting in the morning. Do you want to make this in the afternoon?
Yes.
Okay. 1:30 in the boardroom. Okay.
We can't run that, our meetings go into the afternoon sometimes.
The
So-
the VMS board meetings can run into
Sometimes,
around
yeah,
3
we,
o'clock.
sometimes we can go into 3
But are
o'clock.
they on the?
Yeah, but that's closed.
Yes, we are in that meeting though, so how we can't run the
We
meeting.
facilitate corporate
What
members
if,
meetings.
I thought staff was going to help us with this. Well, how about Thursday, the 5th?
Staff look at calendar there.
Yeah, we're pulling it up right now.
Juanita, I have a question.
Yes, sir. Jen, Steve?
There's a statute that provides for our requirements on this, I believe.
I'm sorry.
Do
can
we
you
know what the minimum
Yes,
number
there
of
is.
days
It's
and
a
the
minimum
maximum?
of 30 days and a
We have to-
maximum of 90.
Actually, it's a minimum of 150. Okay, we've chosen to
That's
to
the
bring it
maximum.
back to
To
the
90.
more accepted minimum, but we as a corporate entity can go 150
Maximum.
maximum. We
But the minimum
recommend it-
is still 30.
Recommended would be under the 90 to avoid any sort of discussion.
The afternoon, Thursday, September 5th is available.
Okay.
Okay, let's set that, why don't we? Okay, I'll put that in.
September 5th at 1:30.
September 5th at 1:30 in the boardroom. Okay. All right, Resolution 90-24-X, selection of a date to hold a special corporate members meeting regarding Third Mutual Board of Directors request to remove 2 GRF board directors. Whereas on May 31st, 2024, during a special open meeting, the Third Mutual Board of Directors voted on and approved Resolution 03-24-58 to call a special meeting of the corporate members to discuss and vote on the removal of James Hopkins and Yvonne Horton and from the Golden Rain Foundation of Laguna Woods, GRF Board of Directors. And whereas on January 18th, 2021, GRF adopted amended bylaws which set out the purposes, powers, and governance of GRF. And whereas Section 5.3 of the GRF bylaws provides a pertinent part, quotes, a special meeting of corporate members may be called by a written resolution approved by a majority of the directors of any mutual board, unquote. And whereas Section 2.4.16 of the GRF bylaws provides and the definition of mutual as follows, quotes, the housing mutual corporations, which are corporate members of this corporation, unquote. And whereas Section 2.4.1 of the GRF bylaws provides the definition of corporate members, which reads as follows, quote, the mutual corporations of Laguna Woods Village, Laguna Woods, as represented by the directors of their respective boards. As of the date of these bylaws, the corporate members are United Laguna Woods Mutual, Third Laguna Hills Mutual, and Laguna Woods Mutual number 50, unquote. And whereas Section 5.4.4.1 of the GRF bylaws provides that the special meeting of the corporate members may be called for the removal of a director without cause. And whereas Section 6.1.4.1.3 provides that a majority of a quorum of the voting power of the corporate members can remove a GRF director or directors. And whereas California Corporations Code number 7511C states in pertinent part, quotes, upon request in writing to the corporation addressed to the attention of the chair of the board, president, vice president, or secretary by any person other than the board entitled to call a special meeting of members, the officer forthwith shall cause notice to be given to the members entitled to vote that a meeting will be held at a time fixed by the board not less than 35 nor more than 90 days after the receipt of the request. If the corporation is a common interest development, as defined in Section 4100 of the Civil Code, the corporation shall cause notice to be given to the members entitled to vote at that meeting, that meeting will be held at a time fixed by the board not less than 35 nor more than 150 days after receipt of the request, unquote. And whereas the GRF Board of Directors is required to discuss and select a date to hold a special corporate members meeting no less than 35 or more than 150 days after the receipt of the request. Now, therefore, be it resolved that on July 2nd, 2024, that GRF selects the date of, what did I say, September 5th, 2024, at 1:30 in the afternoon in the boardroom of the boardroom, to hold a special open corporate members meeting to discuss and vote on the request by the Third Mutual Board to remove James Hopkins and Yvonne Horton from the GRF Board, and resolve further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out this resolution. I move this resolution.
Second.
Juanita?
Mr. Chair.
Okay.
Hello, Mr. Chair. I have my hand raised.
Yeah.
Kush?
Kush, you have a... I'm sorry.
Yes.
Yeah.
I want you to make a note that I'm looking at the team up calendar, and there are several things listed on that for September 5th that goes from 9 to 5, and there's a GRF executive hearing too. I know we are trying to plan this meeting for the afternoon.
We are,
But there is
1:30 in the afternoon.
I understand, but there may be an issue with that conflict So please make a note of it.
Okay.
The meetings listed are in alternate meeting rooms. The special corporate members meeting will be in the boardroom. The only other meeting in the boardroom is the landscape committee meeting, and that ends at 11:30 that day.
That's fine, but the corporate members may not be able to attend the meeting because they are holding their meetings in other rooms. That's all I want you to note. Nothing else. If you want to carry on,
All
go
right.
ahead.
Thank you.
Sure.
I'd also like to request to be sure that that open meeting is also available on Zoom.
It'll be available on Zoom and Granicus.
Yeah. And I would request too that the board also consider the venue, all right, as the boardroom may not be able to accommodate everybody that may want to attend, since I just ask as many people as possible to be involved in this activity. So again, just to apprise everyone that to consider a different venue. It doesn't have to be done now, as long as they put the time in place. Okay, are we next?
Right, I'll give it back to you.
No, you need a vote.
Oh, we have, I'm sorry, I thought I did that.
We haven't.
Are there any objections to this? Seeing none, it's without objection.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and according to the schedule here, the board will take a 5-minute break. Does
No,
any-
no, no, no.
I'm
We
sorry?
have to go back
We gotta go back?
to the consent calendar.
There were 2 consent calendar items that you guys moved to new business. It's recommendation from the Maintenance and Construction Committee to entertain a motion to approve a Clubhouse 1 change order report.
Oh, say that again?
The change order report for Clubhouse 1 and
Oh.
San Sebastian.
And the
Okay.
San
Bear Paint
Sebastian.
Village access
Oh,
request.
all right. They were moved. Okay, sorry, thank you.
I'm
All
sorry.
right. Madam Secretary, can you,
I'm working on it. Give me a second here.
I thought we've moved 2 of the items from a,
This is what am I
10B
looking?
is 12A and
10B, right?
yep,
10C is 12F.
okay.
I just need to know. Okay, 10B, just a second. Okay, 10B, and it's recommended that we simply receive and file for your information. Clubhouse 1 renovation change order update. And this is page 1 of 2. There's no, so, on November 7th, the Board of Directors approved Resolution 90-23-65 for a contract with Real Estate Consulting and Services, Inc., for the implement of the planned Clubhouse 1 renovation project. On March 4th of 2024, the contractor began the construction work necessary to fulfill the terms of the contract. The project is scheduled to be completed by the end of August, and the purpose of this report is to inform the Board of Directors the approved change orders to date and those contract changes under construction. I'm simply, if it's okay with you, I'll just read the change orders.
Yeah.
Okay, change order 1. A credit was negotiated on part of the corporation. Excuse me. I just don't see any money. Well, all right. Change order 1. I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Okay, there are 8 change orders, and they're all extensions of the work that's already being done, and they are all approved. In addition to the approved change orders, the following additional scope is under consideration, and I assume that's what we have to look at. So first, the new billiard room offset is for installing new carpet in lieu of the luxury vinyl flooring that was included with the original scope. The board approved the use of existing Clubhouse 1 funding to convert the art room into a billiard room. Number 2, shower install partition upgrade. The specification for the locker room partitions needs to be upgraded to a solid phenolic materials for longevity and in compliance with industry standards for the intended application. Number 3, dry rot removal and reconstruction of the non-bearing end wall located above the staff office space. The dry rotted window seals and header was discovered during the window replacement process. An engineer assessed the damage and provided a report recommending the wall framing members be replaced. Number 4, new billiard room electrical and billiard table lighting. Number 5, new electrical outlets to support the new sound system. The original approved contract amount was $2.9 million. The total for all the change orders approved to date is $88,655, or 3% above the approved contract price and within the approved limits authorized by the corporation purchasing policy. The pending change orders are also anticipated to be within the same limits. The cost of the project thus far is under the approved budget allocations and for the project.
Okay. Are there any comments? Any objections?
Move these change orders.
It's been moved.
I have a
and
question.
second. You ready for the comment? Steve?
If I read this correctly, the financial analysis on the total for all the change orders approved to date is just under 89,000. So is that for change orders 1 through 8 only? And these additional 5 change orders are an additional expense? And if so, what is that expense?
Staff? We don't have that.
If I may, Mr. President, I'll try to give any clarification possible. Yeah, I see what you're looking at on the financial. So what that doesn't include, it doesn't include the ones up for consideration, and also it does not include change order, which is a deductible change order. One was a deductible change order for $110,000 that we negotiated with the contractor. Okay, so that's not included. What we're trying to report here is that the expenditures is the $88,000 to date. We're not including that credit. Just to let you know, that's what's been said.
Understood.
Okay.
So my question just was, do we have an anticipated amount of what these new 5 additions are going to add as far as the cost?
I would be given a ballpark
Sure.
if I were to respond to that. If we're at 88, I think that we're looking at probably around 40,000.
Additional
Additional.
for these 5 items?
Correct.
Thank
and
you.
that will still be well within the
Understood.
purchasing policy.
Thank you.
While you're there, there's been a lot of discussion today relative to the space utilization with the temple. Do any of these change orders, okay, let's just say that there would be some change in the direction. Does any of these change orders impact the discussion that took place today regarding the temple?
Yes, there are a couple on here. Based on the approval from the board that we were repurposing the art room into a billiards room, there were some costs that were associated with that were already approved. So we're moving forward. I can tell you that we're moving forward with these. We've approved the changes, and a part of that was based on the decision made by the board.
So you're saying that the decisions, prior decisions have already moved in a direction that you can't roll it back at this point?
No,
If-
we're
if
not
they
going to
were
be able to
changed.
reel these in. However, those related to the new billiards room are minimal. So, and the room can be used for other purposes if need be at a later date.
Okay.
It's not that much of an impact.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you. Bill?
Along the same line, I just want to make sure that we don't take a step that makes a decision that nullifies the cooperation that we encouraged staff and the temple to undertake. I mean, I don't want to presuppose the outcome of that discussion. I mean, I have no problem with these change orders, but I don't want to, I mean, I'm presuming that because you put in tile instead of, or put in carpet instead of tile has nothing to do in particular with what you use the room for. But I just, with that caveat, I leave it there. Thank you.
Yvonne, you have a comment?
Well, one of the reasons that this all came to fruition is because we have 150 musicians that are looking for a home too. And the billiards room at the PAC is a soundproof room. And I think the billiards put over there years previous was an afterthought. And we're combining, making one billiards room using the art room. And now we have 2 rooms that are, I guess, rentable space for use of any other term. That's why that's the history of why it happened. You know, so.
Donna?
Yeah, the concern I would be, and we heard a great deal today, that perhaps not all decisions have been made, and that there may be alternatives, and I don't know that. But carpeting in a room that may, in fact, ultimately turn out to be used by a lot of people might not be the best use. So I think the question was, is by approving the carpeting, is that a path that doesn't allow for any consideration? And I'm not saying anything would change. I'm just saying I think that was the question, was if we approve these, does that put us on a path that doesn't permit change?
I think the carpet is for the billiards.
I'm also concerned about the lighting, because the lighting is for billiard tables. And if this doesn't go through, I'm concerned that we're getting ahead of ourselves. And I know where we are, and we've approved that, but there's other considerations.
They are, so if I may, they're minimal. This electrical, these lights, this carpet, it's really minimal in comparison. Carpet, as you can see, is all throughout this building. It's in the room that we're in. There is carpet that is commercial grade that's made for this type of wear. So, unless you're going to be doing some dancing that you need to slide from a hard surface, I don't see any issue with the carpet.
Well, the only issue would be if it's not used for the purpose we've intended. If there's food in the room, it's more difficult to clean carpeting than it is the floor, smooth floor. Just to add to the confusion.
Steve?
I also have a concern about the, I agree with Jim, on the billiard table lighting, because from what I saw in the staff report when it was proposed and the expense that was involved, the billiard table lights are not incidental in their cost because they are specific. And also, I believe the height of those lights is maximized for the light to be on the table, so they may be lower than just ceiling lights. So if we somehow don't proceed with the billiard room implementation of this based on what we heard today from the reform group. We'd have to remove those billiard table sites probably, because it wouldn't make any sense. People would be walking. That's my only concern. I agree with John about that. Thank you.
Obviously, I can't respond to that detail, but Bill?
If I may, just maybe a solution that helps this move forward. Our approving of these change orders and the actual implementation of the change orders are not coextensive. And so we could approve the change orders and ask staff to withhold implementation pending the results of the dialogue that we've encouraged, or at least I encouraged, staff and the temple to undertake. So that we don't have to wait until another one of these meetings in order to get the approval, in order to hang the lights.
So in effect, what we are saying, we can approve the dollars and the direction, but staff needs to come back with some answers before they implement. Is that?
That's exactly what I said.
So if I may, the dollars, the budget, the funding's approved. There's no question whether the funding, it's there, it's been approved. Staff has some authorization on how to use that based on the changes that come our way during the project to keep the project moving forward. I can tell you this decision on changing the art room into the billiards room cost us some time because the contractor wasn't doing anything until a decision was made. So we've absorbed that. We're moving forward. We've kept that schedule for you. Again, and it's subjective, right? Depending on where you come from, what cost, and how difficult it is to make changes to a room. When I look at the lighting and the flooring, I look at those as minimal. I'm sure that others may look at that as a larger undertaking. But when you're looking at the big picture of a $2.9 million project, it's very minimal.
When do you plan on hanging the lights? What day?
So the electrical is going in as we speak. So the configuration of the electrical outlets where they need to be in order to hang the lights in those locations, that time has passed. We're already into that. So the question would be, are we going to hang the lights? We haven't done it yet. That could be a decision that's made subsequent to the original decision. And that would be a board decision and direction to staff. I don't think that it may slow down the process in that room. We could keep moving forward with the rest of the spaces. However, if this decision doesn't come within a short period, that space, that room, may need to be closed longer in order to accomplish whatever it is that.
But what I was suggesting is that we approve this now and that we ask you to withhold taking irreversible steps. The wiring in the ceiling is not, you don't have to reverse it, you just don't have to use it. But the hanging of the lights is a reversible but costly, or costs something, expense. So that is there time, is there time for staff to engage with the temple about this question before you take irreversible steps?
That would definitely be something that the board made the decision to repurpose the room. It's going to be a board decision to reverse that.
Yeah, I don't recall having a discussion about supplanting a temple and denying them access to a room and suggesting to them that they reduce their congregation. So it's...
Wait, nobody said that.
2 or 3 people said it.
No. They said it.
No, I know. I just said that, my point here is that I don't want our statement, or at least my statement, to the temple that and my encouragement to staff that they engage in this dialogue to be a meaningless gesture. That's my only point. I'm not saying that we're not going to move the billiards. I'm not saying that I'm just saying that the dialogue needs to be real and not imaginary. And I don't want to make a decision now that cuts off that dialogue, but I am fully willing to vote on these change orders with an encouragement of staff to withhold final implementation pending that dialogue. If nothing changes, they're authorized to proceed. But at least there needs to be the dialogue.
Mr. President, if I may, so we're not here to ask for approval on change orders. We're here to inform you of what change orders have been decided and where we're at financially with that. That's within staff's authority to make those decisions based upon the purchasing policy. So we're within that scope and we're following that procedure. This is for information to let you know what change orders have been approved to date, what change orders are being considered within staff's authorization, right?
So you're not seeking a
I'm
vote
sorry,
from us
you
today
know,
at all?
I hear you, but I'm sorry, when you bring it up as a motion.
No, no. Well, I thought it was a
Is it
motion.
information?
It's not information.
So this
Why are
is
we
just-
talking about it?
So, but it's on the consent calendar to be voted on.
To receive and file, the report is
Okay,
receive and file.
All right, then I don't need to talk
Who's the
anymore.
parliamentarian here? Because I thought we were approving the consent calendar.
No, this
That
is
was my
not part
impression
of the
as well.
consent calendar now.
So we're just getting information.
This is information on
So
the change
we're
order.
consuming staff time without purpose. Thank you.
This is to be transparent
Okay.
and
Yeah.
information.
No, I
Information.
appreciate it. I guess
It's an update.
It's my ignorance and maybe half of us as to what we were being informed on, all right? And now that we've heard other impacts that this may involve, okay, it just has taken on a different pathway.
My
We don't have
caveat
to do-
remains, I'm encouraging staff to withhold making
Yeah.
irreversible
So-
decisions until the dialogue that we've encouraged takes place.
So I like Bill's suggestion more and more now, okay?
Right.
That we encourage staff, okay, through the adoption of this or hearing this, to make sure that what the impact is to our ability to make any sort of adjustment.
Correct. We heard, I was here, I know that I heard, and I'm sure others in the room. So we understand the concern and whatever we can hold off without, actually having impacts or great impacts on the schedule. Or if the board, provides direction, another decision is made.
Right.
We're there. And I get the concern. Right now, I already mentioned the things that are already moving forward. The lighting has not been hung. That will be something that we can hold off till the end, if that's the direction that this board is providing us.
So what you're saying is we need to get to the bottom of this very quickly to find out whether or not any sort of directional change is appropriate. And I'll move on to Egon before we can move on to this with Bill's suggestion.
So at the prior meeting, we had just as many people from the billiard room in here, and they were all yelling at us, and you guys approved. We approved changing it over to a billiard room. If you unapprove it, next month you'll have those guys back again. You gotta make up. We gotta make up. a
We
decision.
haven't made.
We can't have.
We
it.
have not, sir. We have not made any directional change.
Well, you
we
made
just-
one at the last meeting.
We approved the billiard room.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we're still not.
So
we-
you're gonna unimprove.
We're not making a change. We just want to make sure we're discussing all the issues. That's all. What
Well-
makes you think we're making a change?
Well, you can't discuss the issues unless you have another meeting, because that, you can only choose one of the two groups.
What's your point?
I don't think you can put the billiard tables on wheels and roll them in and out, I mean, you gotta
It
make
just
up.
wouldn't be very effective.
Okay. Steve, you had a.
I just wanted to ask Guy, if you did not install carpet, if you went back to the original vinyl plank, is there really any substantive impact on the amount of time that either of those take? Putting in carpet might take a couple of days. Putting in vinyl plank might also take a couple of days. So if there was a hold, don't put carpet, do nothing. It really doesn't matter until the end of the work when you're going to put the floor in the last week. Similarly, the billiard light table, the lighting over the tables, if all the rest of the electrical is run, it's just a matter of hanging those lamps for a day or two.
So,
That'd be a fair,
yeah, it still has an impact on the overall schedule.
understood, but it's not significant. Putting in carpeting or putting in vinyl plank, if on a Gantt chart, they'd take about the same amount of time once you started it, more or less.
I would need direction from the board because this will delay the project beyond the time frame. We're in a tight crunch right now to bring this in on time.
Okay.
So if that is the direction, then certainly I'll walk straight over, tell the contractor, put a hold. But I need that direction from the board.
You're not getting that direction from the board, okay? I hear the tone, but you're not getting.
And I understand something was brought to light, maybe that wasn't
Yeah,
spoken about
yeah. And we
in
just-
the previous decision, so.
Okay.
I'm wondering if we go ahead and proceed, but do it in coordination with the Recreation Department,
Yeah.
so that we try to solve this other problem for the temple. At least you're aware of what's going on with the temple and getting a space for them that's appropriate.
Yeah.
I don't want to stop you right in the middle of the work, but I don't know, Egon's going to answer my question. I think you need to coordinate with Recreation.
Yeah.
That's my suggestion.
Yeah. I'm going to recommend we take Bill's suggestion, okay, which is to approve this and have staff take a little bit of a deep dive into the impacts here, while we consider the concerns that the people from the temple have, because it could be a whole separate discussion. But I don't want to disrupt the movement of the renovation, because that's something we looked at for how many years? Probably four or 5 years. 2011. Okay. Yeah, it takes us a long time. Yeah, you're right. Now that I think about it, it takes us a long time. It takes a village. Okay. So Bill, can you repeat what you're? Or do you still agree?
If we're finished talking, I'm prepared to have it drop right here. But
Okay.
I'm happy to talk also.
Okay. So I guess the process is you just informing us.
And we're being transparent, we're informing you of what's going on.
And so the direction you have does not change, except I think we need to have a further conversation as to impacts. And I will ask the M&C as well as Recreation to take a look at what those impacts are and what can we do to.
Other alternatives, that's all.
But I don't want to stop the work. That's costly and delays a lot of stuff that's going on. That
Having said, I
cascades.
won't say any more. I would like to say one last thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
And that is, any project of this order of magnitude has a project schedule.
Mm-hmm.
And things, it's laid out at the beginning of the project and runs out to the completion date. And so I know you may not know the answer to this question, but the laying of this tile or the laying of this carpet is scheduled right now on a plan somewhere. And if it's today, then they're doing it. And if it's not today, then they haven't done it yet. And I am not asking that you change that plan at all. I'm just asking that you be cognizant of the fact that we have asked staff to consult with the temple about the issues that are raised by the concerns they raised here today. And I've only expressed a hope that we not make irreversible steps until that dialogue can take place, because it's otherwise an empty gesture to tell them we're going to have a dialogue. That's all I got. Thank you.
And we'll hear a last comment from Egon.
Okay. About this carpet and the tile, for God's sake. Unless you go back to the art room, you can put the carpet in, because the temple and the billiard room can both have carpets. So, do you want to go back to the art room? If so, then put in the the hard surface. The hard surface was only meant to be there so they could wipe up spills.
Thank you. I guess I'm just thanking you for the information.
It was my pleasure, and I totally understand the concern. So,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
We have a resident speaker requesting to speak.
Yes for an answer.
A resident speaker is requesting to speak on this item. Rabbi Joe.
Sure. Oh, Rabbi.
Thank you. Just want to make something clear. We're not asking for a decision to be reversed. We understand the structure. While we did have a problem with the communication in getting when the decision was made, we're not asking to have the billiards room reversed back to the art room so we can have our part of our services there. All we're asking for, it was to bring to your attention that we need to move forward from this point in finding a solution. We're confident that the Recreation Department will work with us. We wanted to emphasize that a religious organization needs to have that priority, your priority, which you have already expressed, and we appreciate, and that priority needs to be used in finding a space so we can continue. And to speak to the question of whether something was said about us having to go get smaller, it's my understanding the comment was made probably under stress. It was probably a throwaway comment that was not serious in the least. We don't consider it a serious option being considered. We're fortunate that we're growing. We're fortunate that our people are finding a spiritual home. We just want to move forward. So we're not asking that you take away what has been done in making it a billiards room. We're just asking that you encourage the Recreation Department, which it is doing, to work with us and find us space in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you. I might make a suggestion, and that is, if something can't be done at the end of August, since we use Clubhouse 5 for our High Holy Days in October, if we stay a little longer in Clubhouse 3 before something's worked out, we've been doing it so far and working with the issues. We want to work with you. So as you're moving forward, just know that as well.
Appreciate
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving forward. Thank you for the update.
Please come to the CAC meeting next week. Okay?
All right. This is Resolution 90-24-XX, San Sebastian Exterior Paint Operations Access. Now, there is a presentation on this.
Yes.
Do you want to do that before we read the
Think
resolution?
Dan Yost.
Dan?
Well, you can read it.
Good morning. So this resolution has to do with access by the San Sebastian Property Management Company. They want to come in and paint the backside of the San Sebastian building. It is surrounded by Clubhouse 1, the Library and History Center, and then also Gate A. In order to paint the building, they would like access to bring a man lift in through Gate A on a daily basis from the dates of September 1st, actually July 8th to September 1st. They originally wanted to go to September 20th, but we cut that back with the Clubhouse 1 renovation and everything that was going on in that regards. So with access, we are getting the proper identification agreements. Entry license agreement will be signed for them to enter into the community. Certificates of insurance have been obtained. They have up to $5 million liability. They have $1 million occurrence, $2 million aggregate, and then a $5 million umbrella policy on top of that. So the risk management boxes have been checked in regards to letting San Sebastian access the community. It now comes down to where the areas that are going to be inconvenienced to the residents. And it's in the agenda, there was an access map, but it didn't print out, but it was electronically showed. It showed the areas, and we have it up on the map right now, of the area where San Sebastian will be bringing a man lift in, and they'll be bringing in through the Gate A access, pedestrian access, and then also they will start right there in the Gate A parking lot. I've walked the area with the general services manager. We looked at that because the bus operations are going on right now over there. They confirmed that they can bring the man lift in and still have the bus operations going on. So we walked that part. Next, we go over to behind the library and the history center. I met with the library and we discussed the impacts on that. They're going to move, and it's just a man lift that they're going to move along as they progress. So areas may be shut down for 2 days while they made through, because they'll come through exterior power wash, then they'll come through and do exterior paint touch-up, and then paint. So the one area of concern is along the library there, where they could shut down the roundabout for a couple of days while they do these areas. And then they'll move on around to the side of Clubhouse 1. Now, the reason I'm bringing this to you now, I was going to have this delayed and bring it next month, but as I started doing the research and looking at this, it made sense for them. They want to paint their building, and we want to allow them to do it the safest way possible, so it's access through GF property. And it would make sense to have them just start now, get it over with before the Clubhouse 1 renovation is over with, because if we delay this, that area is going to be opened up, and then we're going to have a traffic jam getting in through there if they have to get a man lift in there. So that's the reason I have it for you today, and I can entertain any questions.
Would you read read the resolution, and then we'll entertain any questions.
Some questions, all right.
Okay.
Resolution 90-24-XX, San Sebastian exterior paint operations access. Whereas the San Sebastian Apartment Homes Management Company, Greystar, has contracted with URC West, Inc. to provide the necessary paint preparation and painting of the San Sebastian building from July 8th, 2024 through September 1st, 2024. And whereas the San Sebastian building backs up to Clubhouse 1, the Library History Center, not Historical Society, History Center, and Gate A parking lot, and whereas these areas would be used for operation of a man lift by the painting contractor URC West, Inc., and whereas that an entry license agreement with proper indemnification language and certificates of insurance will be obtained before work commences. Now, therefore, be it resolved that on July 2nd, 2024, that the board authorizes access to URC West, Inc. and Greystar with San Sebastian Apartment Homes to complete the exterior pressure washing, paint preparation, and painting of the San Sebastian apartment building. And resolve further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out this resolution. I move we approve this resolution. And Juanita seconds. Thank you.
Second.
And I'd like to
Ready for the
comment.
discussion?
Yes.
Okay.
First of all, I'd really like to thank Dan for all of his information that has come to the library. He did come to our supervisors meeting yesterday, went over all of this, answered the questions from all of the supervisors as to the impact. We see the main impact being at our back door. And that sounds kind of silly, but that's the only way we can get into the library. We don't have access through the front door. You have to go in the back door and open the front door from the inside only. So our supervisors need to be able, and staff need to be able to get in and out of that back door. We know that it's not going to be for the whole 2-month period, and that it'll just be a couple of days here and a couple of days there. We have We know that they're going to do the best they can to accommodate us. There may be some parking right in front of the library, or it's in the back of the library, which is our front, that needs to be rerouted because they can't go out through the normal exit. And yesterday, just to let you know, the library gave their assurances that if there were a couple of days that we could not get in and out because of this painting in that particular area, that we would close the library. We don't want to do it, but it's similar to what we're doing at Gate 12. We're having to close down Golf Clubhouse 2 for one day for the slurrying. It's something that we can do. Otherwise, we will manage, and we appreciate being brought in early and any problems that we have being addressed. The only thing that they didn't address was, where is this man lift going to be on weekends?
So it will be on the San Sebastian property. They're going to bring it in and take it out every day. It will not be held on GRF property overnight.
Okay.
And then in the report, it says work hours are 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. So the man lift will be out by 5 p.m. But it's quiet time between 7 a.m. and 8 a.m. No machinery running, some light setup. Machinery can't start till 8 a.m.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Martin?
Martin?
Dan, the power wash runoff, are you content with that it's not going to interfere with access to the library, or the runoff is sufficient?
Yeah, so there's a perimeter wall there, and it varies between 6 to 8 feet in different areas, some as close as 4 feet in that perimeter wall. Not concerned with the water runoff per se, because the reason they need access to GRF property is they have landscaping in the way and stairways where it just putting in scaffolding is they can't do it. So there is space for when they spray the building, the water will come down onto their property. And we'll continue to monitor the situation. The first day they're out there, I will be out there monitoring the situation. Our safety contractor, I'll have them out there making sure that they're adhering to all the correct codes of operation of the man lift. So it'll constantly be monitored.
Thank you.
Any other comments, questions? All right. There's a motion on the table. All those in favor, is there anybody in opposition to this resolution? Hearing none, the resolution is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jan.
Thank you.
Okay. Are we now done with, we're now ready for a 5-minute break?
Absolutely.
Let's return at 12:25.
12:25.
we kind of flow back here. No, I gotta pay.
But it sounds like the
All right, folks, let's call the, we've lost our audience, so let's call the meeting to order. Okay, let's call the meeting order, and I think the
Item is the
next.
treasurer's report.
All right.
All right.
Thank you, sir. Okay, we are now 3 hours into this meeting. And
having fun.
let's, if we may kind of quickly go through the reports. I know the treasury report is more extensive, so we'll take the appropriate time there, but the others, we
All right.
may be able to
Let's
move
go.
forward more quickly.
All right,
Okay,
so-
so I guess we'll start off with the treasurer's report.
All right, on your screen, or on the screen, yes, your screen, the screen. First chart indicating all revenues. Mike?
Can't hear you.
Speaking to the mic,
Louder
yeah.
and slower.
Oh, speaking to the mic, yeah.
Louder and slower. This first chart includes all revenues and expenses including those expenses, including those designated for reserves, such as investment income, the transfer facility fees, and the reserves assessment contributions. Through the reporting period of May 31, 2024, GRF had a net revenue of $2.1 million with a total revenue of $22 million, total expenses of $19.9 million. GRF was better than budget by $316,000, with a total expense coming in lower than budget by $447,000, primarily due to less cable programming costs and materials and supplies than anticipated. This was partially offset by revenue coming in lower than by budget by $131,000, primarily due to less broadband services revenue than had been anticipated. All right, next slide, please. All right, this next chart displays the operating fund activities, which excludes non-operating revenues, expenses, and depreciation. This report shows a favorable variance of $260,000 through the reporting period, with expenses better than budget by $519,000, offset by non-assessment revenue worse than budget by $208,000. $159,000. Slide 3. All right, this slide shows our most significant operating fund variances by category, with the green bars representing favorable balances to budget and the orange bars representing unfavorable items. Favorable. Overall, we had favorable variances in programming or franchise fees of $244,000 due to late invoicing of TV programming. Very favorable variance will be reduced next month. Materials and supplies of $181,000 due to less materials needed than budgeted year-to-date for golf supplies such as herbicide, insecticide, savings in coffee kitchen supplies at Clubhouse 1 due to closure, and equipment not yet ordered for the PAC. We also are favorable in the clubhouse rentals and event fees, $174,000 due to more event fee and room rental revenue at the Performing Arts Center for events such as King of Queen, Jimmy Buffett, and ABBA Fab tribute bands. Also favorable are employee compensation and related expenses of $157,000, primarily in general services having various open positions such as custodian, bus drivers, and mechanics. Additionally, landscape largely due to an open gardener positions that remain unfilled. And positions remain throughout the organization. The recruitment is in process. Partial offset to the savings was in recreation as events and operating hours returned to pre-pandemic levels of service, and turnover factor assumed at budget creation was a new low. All right, biggest unfavorable was in broadband services of $432,000, primarily due to late payment of the Village Breeze sponsorship and sponsorship generating program and media and communications that was anticipated to be launched in 2024, but has not yet occurred. In addition, clients continue to allocate less dollars to cable TV advertising and instead towards other digital platforms. Number 4. All right, this slide shows sources of revenue other than the assessments such as fees and rentals. To date, we have, received $4.5 million of non-assessment operating revenues shown on this pie chart. By category, we can see the largest revenue is broadband services, which is the internet, set-top boxes, ad insertion, and premium channels, followed by golf revenue, clubhouse rental and event fees, and merchandise sales. Other revenue, which includes class fees, electric vehicle charging revenue, additional occupant fees, sponsorship income, and equestrian center fees, among others, amount to 16%. These revenues offset costs and help keep assessments down. Slide 5, please. Consistent with prior months, our largest operating expense is compensation, followed by cable and programming expenses of the $17.8 million, including depreciation. These two categories count for 71% of the operating expenses. Insurance, professional and legal, utility and fuel, outside service, et cetera, make up the remaining 29%. Slide 6. The revenue and restricted funds adjusted balances are shown here, starting with the first column on the left. Reserve funds have a combined ending balance of $44.1 million. Restricted fund balances have an ending balance of $3.9 million. Including in those totals are contributions received through this year through assessments, trust facility fees, and investment earnings. The second column shows the work in progress of $10.4 million for reserve and $90,000 for restricted, reflecting the amounts paid for projects that are not yet completed. And the third column represents the resulting adjusted fund balances of $33.7 million for reserve and $3.8 million for restricted. Slide number 7, please. All right. This slide here shows the resale history from 2022 to 2024. Community-wide sales total 325 through May 31, 2024. Most of these transactions generate the trust facilities fee, the transfer fee used as a source of revenue for our reserves. And slide number 8. The listing on this slide gives you an idea of where the reserve money is committed. Of the $29.7 million appropriated by the board for various projects and equipment purchases, the remaining encumbrances against our reserve funds is $19.3 million, primarily for renovation projects. Restricted funds had a total appropriations of $47,000 for the West Creek Fuel Modification Project, which has been completed. And number 9, here we are comparing our adjusted balances to historical balances for the past 5 years, showing that GRF has averaged $29.5 million in reserve funds and $2.9 million in contingency funds. And that's it for the slides.
Thank you, Mr. Treasurer.
All right. The next item is, I am not doing because I was under the knife the day of this meeting, and I think Juanita stepped in for me. Thank you.
The Finance Committee met on Wednesday, June 19th. It was my privilege to chair that meeting. And one of the concerns that we had was we did not get any of the information that we needed for that meeting until the meeting. They were passed out at the meeting. So I called a recess in the middle of it so that the committee members would have a chance at least to review it before we talked about it. We did the operating fund deficit transfer that we approved today. That was part of it. And then endorsements from various standing committees, Security Community Access Committee with the Laguna Woods MOU, Maintenance and Construction for Electric Vehicle Charging Stations. And there was a 7-1 vote to postpone that to a future meeting for review as we looked at prices from other charging stations nearby throughout the county. The golf fee cost analysis was, an update was given, and again, a separate meeting will be scheduled for detailed discussion of the fee recommendation. Basically, on this one, they just brought to our attention the 3 things that the fee committee, if you will, have been looking at this year. And the second was traffic fee costs. And again, it was deferred to a further meeting, reporting lack of coordination between the costs and the fees, and recommending any changes as a separate meeting. And their third one was RV storage fees, and we looked at the difference and the great discrepancy between what we charge here and what's charged outside the village. And a subsequent meeting will be scheduled to recommend whether or not to adjust those fees. So our future agenda items for you for next month are the golf fees, the traffic fees, and the RV fees. And the next meeting is August 21st.
All right. Okay, next we have the Community Activities Committee.
Oh, that is me.
Director Horton.
Okay. At our last meeting, we had an in-depth report from the equestrian operations from the senior supervisor at the Equestrian Center, and also on a report on the gyms. We discussed the conversion of the art room to the billiards room, and the old billiards room into a multi-purpose room. I wanted to mention there's 6 new clubs and 2 on the waiting list. Other items that will be on our next month's agenda will be the use of the tennis courts by the Calvary Chapel. If you have any interest in that, please come to the meeting. And also, we're going to discuss a rental fee for the plates and flatware that we furnish at the clubhouses. Our next meeting will be July 11th at 1:30 in this boardroom. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next, the Landscape Committee. Director Botter, do you have a report? Gush? All right. All right, we'll move on. Next is report of the Maintenance and Construction Committee. Again, Director Horton.
Me again.
Oh, I'm
As
sorry.
we had
I
earlier.
I skipped Donna. Sorry. She's underneath the landscape committee here. She's going to report on the Water Conservation Committee.
Yeah, just very quickly in light of the length of our meeting, but there have been two issues that have been concerning water. And the first, it has been a concern to our boards here, which is that there is a regulation in place as of 2029. We are not to be watering any non-functional turf with potable water, and it's an issue throughout the village. So I just wanted to say that the only thing we do know, we've been struggling with that, and where appropriate and budget allows, there have been some changes over to drought tolerant, but the requirements or the description definition of what is non-functional turf have not yet been released. And so there is some potential for some flexibility, and that's what we're waiting on, and that would be very exciting if there are some things we can do that will be cost-effective and still permit that. So that was the first part. And the second was we will be facing, and that means we're facing it in GRF and in each of the mutuals, an increase in the cost of water. And we always have to be concerned about that because those are things we have the boards and the finance department can do all they do, but we can't change that. You know, that is a cost we're going to have no matter what. So I just wanted to reiterate, part of that cost, of course, is maintenance here within El Toro Water District, and part of it does reflect an expenditure that a Metropolitan Water District of Orange County is going to have to incur to give us some potential to have water available for us in emergencies. During our last, it's rained, and everyone says, how could the cost of water be going up? We had all that rain, what do we do with it? Well, number one, it's not potable water. And number two, it goes mostly into the ocean. The biggest problem was that during that time, our allowance from the state, we depend upon Colorado River and Northern California. And there was so little snowfall in Northern California that our allowance from the state was essentially zero. And that's something we just can't afford. We got an emergency allocation, but it's just not tenable. And so Metropolitan is looking at ways to give us some potential source of water, whether it's storage or whatever, and that's part of the cost. So I just wanted people to know. And to again reiterate, there's nothing we can do about the cost of our utilities. Those are in the budget no matter what. And that's it. Thank you.
I would add to that, there is something, not that the boards can do, but every resident can do, and that's conserving your water as much as possible.
Yeah.
One follow-up, you mentioned the date that the regulation prohibits use of potable water for non-active or whatever services. When is that date?
My understanding is it's 2029.
Okay, thank you.
So we have some time, but we don't have a lot of budget maneuverability, but we really are going to be keeping an eye on what those definitions of non-functional turf are while we're moving right along with what we can.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I know we always function on the costs of water, but it's really about the conservation of water. And I was reminded of that. I had a previous job where I dealt very closely with the Yorba Linda Water District. And the company I was with, or the church I was with, we saved about 20% of the water. And the bill went up. So anyway, I won't go through all the details. I think you understand, Donna. But distribution went up, and that's a whole other thing. The point is, and I was warned, it's not necessarily about the cost to you. It's about we're running out of water, and we need to conserve.
Yeah, and I do have to say that we can't quite measure how much water is saved in United because landscape water and residential water are together. They can extrapolate a bit, but in Third, it is very possible to measure that because landscape water is on a separate system. And so we can look at residential. Obviously, the rain helped landscape water, but that's, for the most part, in Third, not potable water. And so we decided, there's always, do you use the carrot or the stick? Do you yell at people or do you say, here's what we can do? And we went with, here's what we can do and here's what you all can do. And in 1 year, even though our conservation was pretty good compared to the rest of California and even a good part of Orange County, we were able to save, and the residents, thank you, were able to save 150 million gallons of potable water. That's measurable. And as I say, it was extrapolated and appeared to be similar in United. It just can't be measured that way, nor can it be in our GRF areas as easily. So yeah, it is up to everybody, and it's something we will always be dealing with. So keep up the good work.
Okay, moving on to M&C, Maintenance and Construction.
Thank you. A lot of what I'm going to tell you, we've discussed already. We had an update on Clubhouse 1, and everything is on schedule. And we had a report from UCI and Cypress College, their presentation on their energy study and their recommendations for savings, and which Bart is looking at. And our next meeting is August 14th at 9:30 here in the boardroom. That's it. Thank you.
Right. And as far as the Space Planning Committee, Ad Hoc Space Planning Committee, we're essentially non-functional at the moment. However, we're not disbanded because the approval process goes on, and there may be some issue that has to be remanded back to the committee for whatever reason. So we're going to make that, keep that committee, quote, alive in terms of its charter, but for all intents and purposes, it has done its work, and members of the committee that are now involved in taking proposals forward are still active.
Jim, I have a quick
meeting
question.
on July 8th.
When was the report from the ad hoc committee formally submitted to the board, GRF?
I believe it was done. I'll check on it, but it was withheld for a couple, not for reasons that I withheld it, but it was withheld, I think, by staff because they were not. They had not released the report, right? Just the reports. But the reports themselves have been available.
No, I know. This is more of a process question than it is anything else. I mean, I know that the ad hoc committee voted on two proposals.
Yeah.
They then, at least in theory, would be formally presented back to this body, which commissioned the ad hoc committee.
It has not happened
That
yet.
has not happened yet?
Right. They have been forwarded to GRF. Will have a presentation on
July 8th.
This Monday. Next Monday.
Right, but that's going to include staff input, right?
Yes.
That's going to include staff input.
So that
right?
I don't know the exact procedure, but it would strike me that staff would not be running any analysis if the reports had not been submitted.
Oh, the reports have been submitted May 1. May 1, the reports were done.
Is that the day of the meeting?
That was the date of the meeting, okay? And those reports were part of the agenda.
Well, I know they were, maybe I'm not being clear.
I'm not following.
If we vote to send something to VMS, there is an action that has to be taken to implement that vote.
Yes.
Something has to be sent.
That has been done.
And okay, so the committee met, the committee voted, this is what we're going to send, and the sending event happened.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's all I want. And
Yeah.
Okay.
I would have to disagree just a little bit,
Okay,
Jim.
go ahead.
This was a subcommittee, an ad hoc subcommittee. It was never brought to the full committee, and it has not been brought to the board.
Because there was a subcommittee?
The ad hoc, the Building East Space Planning Committee is a subcommittee. It's an ad hoc advisory committee. And so their findings have never been brought to a standing committee that they are a part of, which would be M&C. And M&C then would vote and decide to send it up to the board. They have never done that.
Let me take, I
That's
believe
correct.
the charter, is that correct? Who said that?
Director Bada stated that.
I
Exactly.
stated that that is correct because it did not go up to the full committee.
I was under the impression that the charter for the ad hoc committee did not have it reporting as a subcommittee to the MNC.
It was a special committee formed to
We're a
discuss
special
the-
committee, but not a subcommittee. So I guess, I'm not sure what the process would be, but I don't want to delay this and have it go to a committee for procedural purposes. I mean, it's had enough review, okay? And so I would defer to the board to continue to send this to the to the board, because at this point, it goes to we're taking it to the board next Monday, all right? The two proposals on the table, that's what the ad hoc committee voted to do, is to take the two proposals on the table and take both of them forward with a staff review and a staff assessment.
I mean,
Hear me out.
Okay.
That is what is on the agenda for the next GRF special meeting. So if anybody has a problem with that process, let's hear it and vote it out. Go ahead, Bill.
It's the reason why I ask. I mean, procedure is important, and I'm not trying to delay anything. But I mean, there have been emails that have been sent around that describe a very different process than the one that I believe is described in the committee charter. And so I mean, we need to make sure that we stay within our guardrails.
Okay, so which one are you talking about? Because, I mean, I think we followed the charter, but if
I'm not saying that you didn't. And not you personally, but the committee.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a I don't know if it's a memo or whatever, June 19, from the two individuals that refer to themselves as the planners, which says that, there's a cost estimates phase and that there's an obligation to meet and confer, and that then this is all going to be presented directly to the corporate members to be decided.
No.
That is what their memo says.
Their memo was sent out to a select few. In
Right.
fact, I was actually off of that memo, so I'm not sure how the committee chair, that was sent to me offline.
It wasn't sent directly to me either, but I happened to be looking at an image of it.
I think I sent it to everybody.
So that my point here is only that procedure matters.
Absolutely.
When everything else melts down.
Yeah.
Procedure matters.
Okay.
And that I don't want us to be deviating from the protocols that are called forth in the charter, and I don't want, I don't want to be encouraged by others to deviate from the protocols set forth in the charter, because there's a lot of hot emotions on this, and if we start cutting corners anywhere, we will, be understandably subject to criticism for manipulating the system. I think the system, I think no matter, yes, regardless of opinion, the process is the process, and we need to follow it. That's why we have an expert on Robert's rules and everything else. So that's my only point. And so my question, and I don't need an answer now, other than simply to ask whether or not the formal event of submission took place.
Okay.
No.
For the record, since you put it on the record, for the record, the process is, and always is, committees make recommendations, okay? We made the recommendations based on the data that was available to us, I'll call it both sides. From there, the whole process called for staff to do an evaluation of those recommendations, including the cost and any other impacts, independently, and present them at the GRF meeting, okay, where each proposal was presented by the proposee, okay, proposer. So that's been the process. That was the process as described at the meetings, okay? So any other email reference to something different was more of an invented process or a desired process that was to fit the narrative of the persons or person who put the emails out there.
Yeah, my purpose to
And,
cite the email was not to
No, that's fine.
identify it as process, but to identify
What is
as
the
there apparently is a misunderstanding as to process, and we need to be steadfast in adhering to process, because there's a lot of stuff going on, and if we play it straight and narrow, without, then or favor, then we're going to be in the best position to be.
Yeah.
We are subject to criticism whenever we deviate, and justifiable criticism. So I'm just that's point of information.
And I appreciate that. I really do. I've gone overboard to play it straight national, straight.
And I did not intend to suggest otherwise.
Okay. And the reason is, unfortunately, when this came about, I was treasurer, okay, and I was asked to chair the space planning. So I did. I chaired the space planning, and then I became the president. So I became the chair of a committee that had a very, very hot issue, okay? And at the same time, because of the nature of the committee, I also became, and some of the things that were done in committee, I became an advocate of one of the proposals, a very difficult position to be in. Then I am also in the position of president of the board, which then adds fire, okay, to the position I'm in. So I know there's nobody out there, but those three positions have led to a whole lot of misconception out there, all right? Because at the same time, I've also, because of invited more participation from the community on this issue, where it should be. And it would have been my intent to do that whether I held any one of those positions, to get the community involved, because in my view, corporate member meetings have been mostly, not purposely, but in secret, because they're poor. Nobody knows what's going on, and most of the meetings are perfunctory. This one is not. This one has a huge consequence to the community. And I know I'm saying this to an audience, and I doubt whether anybody will see it online, okay? But that was important, that the community get involved. So what the advocates of the other proposal are concerned with is their proposal is not getting the traction that they wanted to get. So they're putting a lot of misinformation out there in emails and in other places. And you brought it up, and I had brought it up in my opening remarks, but you brought it up in terms of this. I've been overly cautious not to cross the line. I have not seen, and do I want to see, the independent staff assessment of the proposal that I have in place, okay? It was the other proposal that wanted all of the details. It wanted staff to work with them. So I graciously approved that they could work with staff to help put together the cost element that they want to present to GRF. The offer was made to me by staff to do the same thing. I have not taken them up on that offer, even though I said okay to it. I have not taken them up on that offer. I'd rather them have an independent assessment of the proposal that I have put out there. So I've been very, very careful of walking that fine line with this proposal, simply because of all of the stuff that's going on there, trying to make this recall and all the other things that are going on. I've been very, very careful. But it doesn't matter, because this is a concerted effort to do something different. And space planning is just the platform to do it.
To answer your basic question, nothing goes to the corporate members until it has come to this board first. We have to approve something to send to the corporate members.
It actually wasn't a question, it was a statement of what there are people saying. And I understand that things come here, and if it is a matter that we have to refer it to the corporate members for approval, then we vote to do that. I understand that. My read of the record is that the Space Planning Ad Hoc Advisory Committee is a committee of the board, not a subcommittee of a committee of the board. But that'll be determined by looking at the resolution. But I think it is excruciatingly important to follow protocol.
Thank you.
Martin, you had a comment?
Well, it's just, what Bill was saying about procedure. You said that you graciously approved something. Should that have been a committee vote?
No, I didn't approve anything.
For the staff to review their proposal?
No, good question. No.
Thank you.
Staff was to review each proposal and come in with an independent assessment at the GRF meeting without any party seeing their independent assessment. Okay? The other side, if you will, wanted to have privilege to what the staff was looking at and what they opined, and get staff help, maybe in putting together their own proposals. So I said, graciously, I have no problem, since I'm the, quote, other side of the proposals, I have no problem with them getting help from staff. I haven't had help from staff, nor do I need or want help from staff in putting together my proposal. The purpose was to not, the purpose of all of this was to bring proposals forward, okay, and have them assessed by both staff and GRF, okay, without without any bias, okay, based on the merits alone that we all were able to see. That was the whole purpose.
So Monday should shed some light on all of it?
Monday will shed light on Proposal A, Proposal B, and staff's independent assessment. The only difference in what we had expected to see is that now I'll call it the proposal for, has had the other proposal has had the benefit of staff's assessment, cost assessment, and impact assessment to their proposal, which, I don't mind. I mean, as, quote, the other side of that, it doesn't bother me, because I'm not, And that's why I said I graciously said, okay.
Well, I mean, graciously or otherwise, the memorandum that went around, and all I've seen is that document. I've not spoken to anybody. I have no idea what all is going on. But one of the things that was contemplated by the words that were on the page that I read was that one of the benefits of engaging with staff in their cost assessments is that the advocates of the proposal might come up with ideas to change the proposal to make it better or more efficient or more whatever. If the proposal, the charge to the committee was submit a proposal, and if it's been done, it should not be modified. And if it has not been done, then I don't know why we're doing a cost analysis. So I'm not criticizing anybody for anything. But the idea, though, that the proposal would come to us and then get revised post hoc
No, it's not
before we
supposed to
consider
get
it on Monday, the 8th.
No, it's
is-
not supposed to get, it's not supposed to get revised, it's being assessed. Now, to the extent that it gets revised between what the committee approved and what GRF sees, that should be disclosed, okay, by staff. That was not the plan. So I just want to make it clear, their proposal, which they had, all of us had more than 8 weeks to put together, okay? More than 8 weeks. And in fact, the proposal was first put together and presentation was not adequate. We gave them additional time to put together another proposal, okay? And to make it more presentable.
I'm not opposing or
Again,
criticizing
you
or
keep-
accepting or encouraging
Yeah.
anything other than
Yeah.
adhering to protocol.
And we are, more so, we've actually made exceptions for the other proposal. I will say this, I'm not sure what you saw, but what I have seen has been a bunch of mistruths and misconceptions and misapplications of both committee rules, charter, and a bunch of things for the advocates.
But as we heard from the presentations about the temple and the art room or billiard room or whatever, people of good conscience can have absolutely diametrically opposed views as to what the facts are. I mean, it's one thing to say, okay, well, we all know what the facts are, and here's what we want the solution to be. That's one thing. But to have a different, I just don't want July 8th to turn into a food fight.
It might.
I suspect it will be.
So that's my concern.
I suspect it will be. I will, obviously, I will be one of the presenters, and therefore I will recuse myself. But I suspect it will be. Okay, I suspect it will be because that's where they all have been. Because of maybe projected outcomes. I don't know.
Who's our Roberts? Joan, are you the Roberts guru?
Point of order.
There you go.
I think we need to get back to our topics, which are committee reports.
Okay, sorry.
And perhaps we can continue this after the closed session.
Our parliamentarian has spoken.
Yeah, sorry.
I'm fired up.
I have this. You need to put the gavel down on me. All right. Okay, let's move on to, boy, that is a hot topic, isn't it? Meeting communications.
Since it's my turn. Meeting and Communications Committee last met April 15th, 2024. Our next meeting coming up is July 15th, 2024, 1:30 here in the boardroom. It's an important meeting because our Urban Insight group will be making a presentation on the website. So I invite you to attend. It should be very interesting. Find out where we are. Should finish up the website by the end of the summer. So I hope that you can come to that meeting. Again, that's July 15th, 2024, here in the boardroom at 1:30, both, and as a virtual meeting. Thank you. That's the end of my report.
Sorry about that.
Mr. Chair, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Hello.
No.
I had to step away from the computer, so I think you missed my landscape committee thing, although there was nothing much to report.
Okay.
May I
Thank you. You're right. We moved on. Thank you.
Well, we did hear the water conservation report.
Yeah, we did hear we had a water conservation report from Director Sozak.
I did hear that.
Yeah.
That was very good.
And so it was excellent. And so she stood in for the landscape committee in a fine fashion. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Donna.
Okay. Next is the broadband ad hoc.
Thank you. Yes, we had a meeting on May 8th, and we have a series of meetings coming up later this month. Heads up to all the broadband ad hoc members that It'll be like 3 meetings, like within probably a couple-week period that will occur later this month or early next month. So we'll move forward with that. Thank you.
Okay, next is the M&V Committee.
Mobility and Vehicles met on May 15th. And some of the main things that were done or came out of that were the fact that in Mr. Carroll's report, he gave us the locations of the upcoming pop-up booths, which are very informative at different places, different clubhouses, different places throughout the community, so that people who do not know the ins and outs and intricacies of our bus system can learn and can get their bus tag on their whatever these are.
Oh, on
Your
the ID card.
badge, if needed. We reviewed the charter, which has come to here. We looked at the senior mobility program for what it added to us and how we interworked with that. And the next meeting will be on Wednesday, August 7th at 1:30 here in the boardroom. Moving quickly over into SCAC, Security Community Access Committee met on April 24th. And the next meeting, there wasn't a whole lot that was very different. We talked about security statistics in detail. We have statistics that we get every single month, and they are in the agenda package that anybody can read, which gives us a lot of information about the RV lot, the number of spaces, the notice of violations that we've had, what we get from the sheriff's department, compliance, social services, which also falls under that. So it's a very in-depth report, and it takes a little bit of time. The chief also gives us noteworthy incidents. So if there are special things that have happened in the vehicle where in the village where security was involved, he brings that to our attention. The main thing was the MOU, Memorandum of Understanding with the City of Laguna Woods, which we approved as a board this morning. We went over that. We talked about universal ID cards. Our ID cards are not all the same and are different, and we're looking at what we might do to have to update those. And a lot of talk on the September event for security and disaster preparedness and the different vendors that might be there and how we can work with Disaster Preparedness Task Force to make that a really good event. Unfinished business, we talked about the lost identification cards. That was brought to our board last month, and we changed the fee schedule on that. And our next meeting is coming up. It will be in August, so no, end of this July, August 28th. Okay, missed that. All right, there we go. All right, and then finish up my reports, Disaster Preparedness Task Force. First and foremost, I'd like to, if I may, gently correct Director Rosa. The radios that we approved today do have capacity throughout the county and meet with everything. It is not just local inside the village. So it's a very important asset that we have for the whole community, particularly for disaster preparedness. Again, one of the main things that we talked about is the event coming up on, we have the state shakeout in October, and so in September is when we want to have our preparatory emergency hero meeting. And The only other thing was the fact that we are working with an outside company, Jacob Green and Associates, to review our emergency disaster planning documents and make sure that they integrate well with the cities. They are the contract firm for the city. They did a gap analysis for us to see where theirs differed from ours and what we needed to do to work that together. So that's an ongoing project, but ours definitely needed to be updated, and this is going to save us time and money working with the city. And again, our next meeting is July 30th at 9:30 here in the boardroom.
Okay, and the next update is the Information Technology Advisory Committee. We did have a report. We're still on schedule to complete somewhere around the middle of 2025. There's a lot of things that have been done, and the onslaught of AI has actually helped us to do a lot of things additional. Okay? And it doesn't save us the time at the moment, but with AI, we're getting a lot more introspective into all of the things that we do in this community administratively, and the services that allows VMS to provide after implementation are going to be considerable. Okay, it'll take them time to make all the adjustments, but the opportunity to service us in a much more efficient way is going to be there. So, next meeting is July 26 at 1:30. It is a closed meeting. And with that, are there any future agenda items? We're going to discuss smart cards and update committee appointments next time. We will be, just so you know, Bonnie has agreed to serve as a advisor on broadband, okay, since she was intimately involved in that, and so I've asked her to do that. And that's it, the discussion of smart cards. Any other items on future agenda? Okay, all right. Director's comments. We'll comment it out. Okay.
Can we stop now?
Okay. Okay, record time. Unfortunately, the wrong way. The wrong way. All right, we'll recess.
Until
I just said, you didn't hear me?
You just went through it.
I didn't get to say anything.
Good. When will we reconvene?
Okay, hey, look, let's start up at 2.
2 o'clock. Okay.